to over 100 miles an hour, and the nail-biting excitement of IndyCar racing will begin again. In 2008, IndyCar reshaped and retooled their future. The open-wheel racing series became unified, giving us true moments of an historic season.
The lady is coming through. Danica Patrick wins at Twin Ring Motegi.
Finally.
We have a new star in IndyCar racing. He's only a teenager.
Scott Dixon with a win at the Indianapolis 500.
What a day, man. I just couldn't believe it.
After almost 3,000 laps, it all came down to the final race, the final lap, and a photo finish for the championship, taking the win from Scott Dixon, but not the championship. Today, more cars, more stars, and the most competitive season ever. The 2009 IndyCar season on Versus. It's a whole new race. Welcome to the streets of St. Petersburg, Florida. IndyCar Central on Versus. And in less than 1 hour, the green flag will drop, and the start of the 2009 season of the IndyCars will be underway with the running of the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Hi, everybody. I'm Bob Jenkins, delighted to be the host for these shows on Versus this year. Today's program begins a decade-long relationship between the Indy Racing League and Versus for coverage of both the IndyCar Series and the Firestone Indy Lights. This year, we'll have 12 of the 17 races on Versus. We will have a pre-race show every day before the event. We'll have at least a 3-hour time block during the race. If there's a Firestone Indy Lights Series race, you'll see it on Monday night. In addition to that, we'll have extensive coverage of all 4 days of qualifying at Indianapolis, plus a post-race show for the Indianapolis 500. In general, you race fans wanted more coverage of the IndyCar Series and the Firestone Indy Lights division, and you're going to get it on Versus. 2009 is the second year of unification of open-wheel racing in the United States. Everyone is pulling together. Everybody right now before the first race is on the same level, and we invite you to join us for this ride. We now begin our introduction of the people who'll be covering the activity for you. Jack Arute is a veteran pit reporter, but he has a new title and a new job this year on Versus. He's our pit strategist. Jack?
Bob, thanks so very much. You know, for 25 straight years, I have enjoyed the passion and had it grow by covering this area behind me, pit road. I will still be here on pit road, but here at IndyCar on Versus, we're going to try and take it to the next level. Sometimes the obvious is not what delivers a victory to a driver or a team. My role as pit strategist is to try and delve under the surface and find that key turning point, or what may have precipitated what is an eventual trip to victory lane. As I said, sometimes it's not the obvious. In the case of the 2008 champion, Scott Dixon, the seeds for success were sown in a chase for a championship back in 2007. What he learned from that, oh, he attacked it with a vengeance in 2008.
For the first time since 2003, Scott Dixon has won at Homestead Miami Speedway.
Scott Dixon's going to regain the lead, and they continue to make that charge.
Well, you talk about a Sunday drive. It's been that for Scott Dixon today.
You start first, you finish first. It could not get any better.
Bring it home now, bring it home. Scott Dixon from New Zealand, and he is the winner of the 92nd Indianapolis 500-mile race.
What a day, man. I just couldn't believe it.
Dixon with his third win of 2008. The rain is falling the way of Scott Dixon.
The day will belong to Scott Dixon.
Our race winner here today.
Dixon is the winner of the 2008 IndyCar Series title.
When you capture magic in the bottle like that for Scott Dixon, I wonder, how do you keep that magic and be able to translate it to 2009?
It's been tough already. You know, we didn't have the smoothest of qualifying sessions yesterday, and I actually thought Dario, my teammate, was going to have it tied up there. He's been extremely quick all weekend, but you know, we tried to go down a different avenue. We didn't really have the speed in the car. We've gone back to it this morning. The car was super quick this morning, so I'm really hoping that we can put on a great show for all the Target supporters here this weekend. And you know, I think we've got to try and, you know, come back, but to try and do what we did last year is going to be very tough.
So what is the key to win this race today, starting where you are?
Well, you know, I think for us straight away, we've got to go off strategy and, you know, try and do the opposite of maybe the, you know, the first 4 or 5 cars. And we've already started with that because of the alternate tire. I think the majority of the field, almost 17 of the cars or 15 of the cars, are on the red tires. We're starting on the black. So we don't really know what these tires are going to do. It's the first time for us all, but, you know, plain and simple, we've got to be faster than everybody. That's what we've got to do. We've got to try and get to the front. So hopefully we can have some big passing maneuvers here and try and work our way up.
Now, the guy that beat you for the championship back in 2007 is now your teammate. What's that like?
It's been great. You know, Dario's been a great friend since I joined Champ Car back in 2001, and you know, a guy that I used to look up to. You know, he's a little bit older than me, so you know, he's getting the gray hair and everything. But yeah, but he's been quick, man. He's been showing me how to do it this weekend. So it's been a lot of fun so far. We've had a lot of similarities in the way we set up the car, but he's going to be my main competition, I think, throughout the season, and very, very tough competitor.
Believe in numerology? Do you believe in numerology? Well, if it's number 8, well, that's where Graham Rahal started 1 year ago, in 8th position. That's where Scott Dixon starts today. For Graham Rahal, it was a bit of magic in a bottle 1 year ago. A chance to prove in your first outing you had what it takes.
The 06 of Graham Rahal, the second generation on the streets of St. Petersburg.
Can this young man win his first IndyCar race today?
19-year-old Graham Rahal in his first IndyCar Series start will win.
It'll definitely be a special place in my heart forever.
The first street race for IndyCars was held back on April 1st, 1984 in Long Beach, California. Mario Andretti went to victory lane, and since then, street racing has come in vogue. But no one can hold a candle to what has happened here over the course of the last few years with the growth of the Honda Grand Prix at St. Petersburg. It has become a festival of speed. And there's an awful lot of new faces that are going to try and feast on that speed today. New faces in new places, and that's one reason why some people may be just a bit concerned. But there is one old face in a new place, sort of. For more, let's check in with Lindy Thaxton. Lindy?
For the first time, Graham Rahal starts a race as a defending champion. At just 19 years and 93 days old, he became the youngest winner in open-wheel racing history. He knows today is a new race, but closing his eyes and reliving that moment never gets old.
The 06 of Graham Rahal, the second generation on the streets of St. Petersburg.
Graham Rahal grabs the lead. He got to the inside of Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Can this young man win his first IndyCar race today?
Bobby Rahal's got a smile on his face.
We have a new star in IndyCar racing. He's only a teenager.
19-year-old Graham Rahal in his first IndyCar Series start will win the Honda Grand Prix of St. Pete.
To get a victory in my very first IndyCar race, and obviously the Andretti-Rahal rivalry, to steal the record as the youngest winner ever from Marco. I mean, it's pretty special.
Bobby, describe the feelings of a father to see his son do what you did so many times.
Fantastic. You know, all I can say is I think this is the first of many.
What are you going to say to him when you get to victory lane?
I don't know.
It'll definitely be a special place in my heart forever.
Another year, another Rahal record. You are now the youngest pole sitter in IndyCar Series history. Now, I know that you are competing against guys you have grown up looking up to. What are you doing to not only keep up with them, but beat them?
Well, I mean, it obviously takes a lot of effort. The whole McDonald's team has been working really hard in the offseason. And for me, you know, I knew coming into this season there was going to be higher expectations. Having won here last year, I knew that the pressure was on to do it again. And certainly, you know, as I said, everybody's worked extremely hard this offseason, and myself included. And when it came into this year, we really wanted to prove that we could consistently challenge for wins and hopefully the championship in the end.
And speaking of the pressure being on, you're now in the #1 seed at Newman-Haas-Lanigan, and you have said, I want to prove that I deserve to be in that spot.
Yeah, I mean, it's the McDonald's car has always been the #1 car, really, or you can't really say #1, but the premier car of the team. And, you know, for me to step up into that car, it's exciting for me, but it also brings higher expectations because, you know, the car has had a lot of success in the past, and the McDonald's colors have always won championships and race wins. And so for me personally, you just want to continue that tradition. And so it takes a higher level of effort to do so.
Graham, good luck. Thank you. And whose seat did he take? He's with Robbie Floyd.
Just behind Graham Rahal. Justin Wilson, you qualified #2, but there must be something special in that special sauce, the Sonny's Barbecue. But a lot of people didn't figure you'd be in this position this early.
No, it's great. We're over the moon, you know, after the off-season of uncertainty to come here and put it on the front row. I think everyone in the Sonny's Barbecue team is over the moon, and hopefully we can translate that into a good race result.
Now, Del Coyne Racing last year didn't have as many laps led as you did at this race alone. Are you looking forward to this season, this race in particular, to bring them their first ever victory?
It'd be fantastic, you know, to get that victory with this team. We're a small team, tight-knit, just trying to do what we can with what we have. So, you know, we're enjoying it, we're having fun, and this worked so far this weekend. I know that the race is going to be tough, but we'll make the most of that.
Good luck out there. He's on a new team, but also a new member is Dan Weldon of Panther Racing. He started 2002 in the IndyCar Series at Panther Racing, went through a couple teams, Andretti Green, also Target Chip Ganassi, but now he's back home to Panther Racing. So a new face to the team this year, but the other new face also is at home. Dan Weldon had a new son this past February with his wife Susie. Sebastian, a new face and a very smiling face at that.
I think the first few times that I changed him, you know, it's something to do with him not having the diaper on and the cool air. I think he peed on my arm. He actually got me in the face. I think he got me in the face twice. So that was not the most pleasant experience I had with him, but I'm down with that now. I can actually get the old diaper off, clean him, and get the new one on pretty quickly. But I'm not sure I can do them quite under 9 seconds with a 4-tire and fuel pit stop.
They're in pretty good shape, are they not, Robbie Floyd?
I think they are in very good shape. And Ryan Briscoe, you've been in this situation before. You had to replace, you know, a very legendary driver in your own right. What was it like for you coming into the team?
Well, firstly, I mean, it's a great feeling. It's a huge honor just to have the opportunity with Team Penske, but at the same time, there are a lot of butterflies. I still feel them today, but you know, I know how Will's feeling today. They're big shoes to fill of Elio's, but he's just such a great driver. He's been doing such a great job throughout winter testing and qualifying, and hopefully we can have a good race today. Hopefully he can just stay right behind me the whole time, and that'll be just perfect. But no, he's a great driver, and you know, we're excited to have him bought.
And you feel the team, or you feel the shoes of Sam Hornish Jr. Now he's in NASCAR, and what is it like being in those shoes of Helio Castroneves?
Yeah, they're pretty big shoes to fill, but you know, like Ryan said, we've been working away in the winter testing, and it's, you know, it's a real honor to drive for Roger. And you know, I want to make the most of the opportunity. Got a real good teammate in Ryan, and you know, it'd be great to have 2 cars on the podium today.
I think he's really looking forward to this experience, Jack, and I don't think he could ask for a much better team to be with.
Robbie, I'd have to agree with you. Another team that very well could be on the brink of some superstardom was the addition of Dario Franchitti. Looks a little bit different, doesn't he? From back in 2007 when he wowed all of us with winning the Indianapolis 500 and then going on and challenging and winning the 2007 IndyCar Series Championship. We'll talk at Dario Franchitti next, right here in IndyCar Central on Versus. Central here on Versus. Maybe I should take a page from Tony Kanaan's desires and get my long flowing hair back with a helmet. Not. You know, things are different now and then. Take a look at me with a full head of hair without the beard. That's the way changes take place. Well, what about Dario Franchitti? When he won the championship, he was a little closer shaven. And now the flowing locks have made him the heartthrob of the IndyCar circuit. In fact, he has teamed up, when you heard me talk to Scott Dixon, with the guy he beat for the championship in 2007. And some people are saying that this very well could be the super team.
To be back is fantastic.
I think it's great for the series, obviously, to have an Indy 500 and a series champ back.
That's awesome. I mean, it's my best friend and a good friend to have around.
It looks like Dario Franchitti will win the 91st Indianapolis 500.
I think it's huge to have Dario back.
The battle for the championship continues here at Chicagoland Speedway.
We clawed back a huge lead that he had, and you know, to come down to the last race, the last lap, and the last corner of a season is pretty unbelievable.
Dixon is out of fuel. Dario Franchitti, he'll win the race. He'll win the title. Dixon is the leader in 2, but here comes Elio.
There's a point in the race he was getting further back, and I was getting worried, I must admit.
Here they come to the line. Oh, my goodness. We just watched the closest IndyCar Series finish ever here at Chicagoland Speedway.
It was a nerve-wracking race. I'm glad that Dario was feeling for me a little bit, which was kind of nice.
I realize how lucky I am to be in that situation. From a year off, essentially, get straight into target chip Ganassi racing with, I think, the best drive in the paddock. It was a massive positive.
You know, I've raced with him for many years now, competitively and side by side a lot, but to have him back, I think, more importantly, is the best thing. You know, to lose him for a year was pretty tough.
It's going to be a nightmare for us. I think they're going to be very strong.
It's good to be home for Dario Franchitti back in the IndyCar Series after a brief stint in the NASCAR. Good to be home, buddy, but now it's your first race. Now it's showtime. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling good. First corner is going to be interesting. There's a lot of new things going on with the 2 different types of tire, so that's going to make things pretty exciting today. But no, really happy to be back in the IndyCar Series with the Target team. We've got Airwick on the car this week, but it's so much fun to be back racing against my friends and just having a blast.
When you left the IndyCar Series, you were the series champ. Didn't get to defend that. You also won the Indy 500. You didn't get to defend that. Now's your chance to do it all again.
Yeah, exactly. I'm coming in kind of like the underdog now. The job that Scott Dixon and the Target guys did last year was phenomenal. So I want to go out and hopefully the performance of the Team Target stays the same, and we can go out and give Scott a hard time. But yeah, as I said, really enjoying it.
Should be a good day for Scott Dixon, his teammate, one of the super teams, Bob.
All right, Robbie, kind of reminds me of the super team of 1972 of Al Unser, Mario Andretti, and Joe Leonard. Bob Jenkins back here with you, and we'd like to welcome our international audience to our telecast, and I'd like to introduce to you the guys who'll be in the booth with me all year long on Versus. Both are former Indy Lights champions. To my far left, 20-year broadcast veteran Jan Beekes, and next to me is Robbie Buell, who is a current car owner and has touched millions through his Racing for Kids program. You know, Jan, you talk about the big 3 in IndyCar racing, Team Penske, Andretti Green, Target Chip Ganassi. But looking at the starting lineup, do we need to examine this again?
Well, I think, Bob, it's because for the first time in series history, the season starts on a street course. And when you have a street course race, it gives those smaller teams an opportunity to go after the big ones. Kind of a David and Goliath situation. That's certainly the case for Justin Wilson. Starts on the front row for Dale Coyne Racing. They don't have a huge budget, but they have great talent. And, Robbie, I think they're going to be players.
No question about it. I mean, qualifying was absolutely unpredictable. And wow, what a job did Graham Rahal do in laying down a lap in qualifying. Absolutely showing confidence and muscle. We're going to see that same unpredictability all race long.
14 corners, almost 2 miles this racetrack. How demanding is it?
It is incredibly demanding around here. I mean, it's not just the 14 turns, 100 laps. You got surface change. You got slow corners, fast corners, bumps. And the driver starts to break down physically. When you start breaking down physically, that's when you have the mental mistakes. And there's no room for mental mistakes around here, Jan.
And let's not forget about pit road. You have alternate tire strategies. You have 12 different drivers and new team combinations. A lot of high anxiety on pit road as well, Bob.
I want a prediction of race winner and best finisher by a non-winner, Jan.
I was going for Franchitti. I switched to Rahal because of the tire strategy. Non-winner's got to be willpower.
And Robbie?
For me, willpower, non-winner, but I'm going with TK. He's a gorilla around here. He's been on the podium the last 4 events.
All right, I'm going to pick Justin Wilson to win the race, and I think E.J. Viso is going to have a very good day here today. And now we determined, well, we will show you what the pit guys are thinking about in terms of a winner. And it looks like that Rahal and Kanaan are the favorites to win here this afternoon. Thanks for joining us for IndyCar Central on Versus. The Commanda start engines moments away on Versus.
It's the start of a new season and a new era for IndyCar. It's time for our fix of speed, glamour, and bravado.
A big crash, big party. Danica Patrick.
Who wins the inaugural event for 2009? Who will be our champion? We seek action.
Here they come to the line.
We seek answers.
Danica wins.
Bring on the revolution.
With a win at the Indianapolis 500.
Versus begins its decade of excellence of the fastest drivers on the planet. Right now.
The IndyCar Series about to go for 2009 in the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, and what a beautiful day it is. Last year we had rain before the race and during the race, but not this year. The sun is out and there are thousands of race fans gathered around this course, ready to watch the inaugural race for the 2009 season, and our first here on Versus. Welcome everybody to our telecast. Let's go down for the Commanda start engines.
Coke. Race fans, are you ready? It's time for the most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome the president of Honda Performance Development, Eric Berkman, as he gives the command.
Drivers, start your Honda engines.
Start command has been given. Engine start command has been given. Starting with row 1, call them off, please. Go! Row 1, hot! Row 3, hot! 4, hot! Row 5, hot! 6, hot! 7, hot!
Row 8, hot.
And that's how race control knows that all the cars have started. And we are almost ready to go, Jack. This is the start of something big for the Indy cars.
And Bob, we've switched things up, as we said, because we are introducing an alternate tire. Now, heretofore, you only had one choice. Each team is issued 9 sets of tires for the weekend. They get 3 sets of what's called the reds, the alternate tire. It's a little softer compound. It should go a little faster, but it should drop off and wear out a little quicker. The black tires, well, they're the primary tire. What we're going to do here in Pit Central is we're going to try and track that. 4 of the top 6 starters today are starting on reds. One thing that has interested me, though, Tony Kanaan, who has been pretty quick, he's starting on used blacks. We'll track it all day for you here in Firestone Pit Central.
And remember, each car must complete at least 2 green laps on the alternate set of tires with the red sidewalls. Now the cars begin to move away from pit lane, and the corner workers give thumbs up to the drivers. And guys, we are almost set to go. You ready?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, right now, this is what the drivers have been waiting for, is for the green flag. Their nerves, they've had all the anxiety. Just get the cars rolling. There you get going. It calms you down.
Graham Rahal will start from pole position. Yesterday, He won the Peak Pole Award here at the streets of St. Petersburg after his win last year here at this same race course. Graham Rahal had some problems coming out of corner 14, bangs the wall, but he still put together a good lap and put himself and the Newman Haas-Lanigan team on the pole position. Now we're going to keep track of the pole positions this year because there's a new rule. The driver gets 1 point for winning a pole position this year. So as we go into this event, Graham Rahal really has the points lead because of his pole position.
That's a great way to start the season. And Robbie, you talked about it just a few minutes ago, the way he muscled that car around. And don't forget, he did it on the primary tires, and that shocked the pit road.
It shocked us as we watched that all unfold. I mean, I think that just says a lot about he's got a full year under his belt, the pressure of winning this race last year and coming back here. I mean, I think it shows us how confident he is with that Newman-Lanigan-Haas team and just where he is in his career.
You should see the starting lineup there. Dan Weldon driving for Panther Racing this year. And the story of Mike Conway for Dreyer and Reinbold Racing. What a tremendous setback he had, qualifying good enough to get him into the second round. But unfortunately, he destroyed the car, nearly destroyed it, in a practice crash shortly thereafter.
Yeah, that was a pretty painful shot that he took into that wall in turn 9. But, you know, anytime these guys crash cars, the crews can get them back to just where they were when they let off. I mean, that's, you know, as a driver, if the guys tell you it's back to where you last had it, you trust them and you move on.
And of course, we know that Robbie Buell, in case you didn't tune in to yesterday's show, that he's a co-owner on that team. And Robbie, congratulations on your 200 start for Dreyer and Reinbold.
That's right. All right, we've got, of course, on-board cameras that will enhance our coverage of today's race. On board now with Danica Patrick. Danica will start back in the 15th position. Dan Weldon will also carry one of our onboard cameras. He's starting in 11th position back in row 6. Scott Dixon, a bit of a disappointment during qualifying. He admitted it.
Well, part of that, Bob, was that he tried Dario Franchitti's setup because Dario had been so quick. And what happened was he was now gone back to his setup. He is much happier.
But also remember that car, Dixon, we just saw, that team is the best in pit lane. And so is Dario Franchitti. I mean, Ganassi, those guys get it done on pit road. And that's a big part of the strategy through the streets here in St. Pete.
Back from NASCAR, Dario Franchitti. Tony Kanaan will also have a camera. Look at this right on the front of that race car. This should provide some exciting pictures.
And he's going through the section of the racetrack where it's nearly flat out. Graham Rahal just finished that section, but they got to get it woed down for this final corner. Sometimes it's hard to get not overexcited about the previous kink.
They will go by one more time before we get the green flag. The pyrotechnics, the fireworks go off here on the main straightaway as this crowd settles in and the drivers warm up their tires, getting set for the start of the race. We're very glad that you joined us here on Versus for the start of the 2009 season. As I mentioned, it is a beautiful day in St. Petersburg. It's a little warmer than it has been the past couple of days for the practice and qualifying, but our Mobile One track conditions show the air temperature at 83 and the track temperature at 123 and a rather high humidity. So indeed the conditions are a little bit different than they have been in the previous days here.
And when it gets hot, Bob, that means the track always slickens up. So there is a concern. I know that we've been teasing each other about strategy, and I'm very convinced you want to start on reds, but the hotter it is, that may not work as well. Those red sidewalled alternate tires go off faster the hotter it is.
And let us point out before we go any further that the reason they have done this tire rule on the street and road courses this year basically for one reason, and that's to increase the excitement and the competition in this form of racing.
And qualifying was absolutely exciting. And I just want to go on record right now before the green flag drops. I absolutely disagree with Jan, and I like the guys starting on the black tires.
That's what I like. Disagreement already. Tampa Bay is to the left of the drivers as they go through turn number 10. There are 14 corners on this track and the 14th season of IndyCar racing, and the first time that the series has opened on a road course is just about to begin. The Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. The Apex Brazil green flag is waving. Welcome aboard, everyone, on Versus. There's the green flag, and we are underway at St. Pete. The battle toward turn number 1. Look at this, 5 wide as they hit in there. Who's going to come out ahead? Oh, a nice move by Dario Franchitti. And we have the pole sitter Graham Rahal sideways in turn 1.
And he was hit. He was hit on the left rear. It was Dario Franchitti, and the green car came up the inside. Very aggressive. Oh, it looked like Mike Conway off to the right, also in trouble. Wow, a bump to the inside of Graham Rahal.
And sure enough, that is the dad's car, the DRR car. I don't know if there's damage on there. We haven't seen all the way around it. I'm sure as heck hoping there's no damage. They can get him back and running and doesn't go down a lap.
Wow, what a auspicious start to the season. That is Justin Wilson in the number 19 car for Dale Coyne, the Sunny Barbecues machine that is out in the lead, but we do have a full course caution. We're on board with Dario Franchitti, who has moved up to second spot.
And Dario was super aggressive going down into the first corner and pulled off that move perfectly, but right behind him there was definite contact on the right rear of Graham Rahal.
Looks like that Mike Conway will be able to get a restart and head for the pit area. Here's the replay of what happened as they went into turn number 1.
So we're on board with Dario. Now watch him go to the inside down. He tucks back in. Oh, there is Dario. Sorry, we weren't on board with Dario. We just saw him go through. And that was not Dario that hit.
No, I didn't think it was, but what it was Dario made that great move to the inside, and we were on board with Tony Kanaan and saw the contact. So Tony Kanaan is the car that came in, and right there got the back of Graham Rahal and Alex Tagliani for a Bronco ride right over the nose.
And did you see how close it was that Franchitti just slid across the nose of Graham there?
Woo. Down to the pit area, Robbie Floyd.
And guys, I can't emphasize enough that Brian Barnhart said emphatically that 2 out of the past 4 races that there were crashes going into that first turn. Be careful. Watch what you're doing. You know, don't go in there exactly like we just saw. He made that point out there. You know he's upset about it because he made sure to say that. Don't do exactly what they just did. Jack?
Well, Robbie, now is the time when you have to play a little Dr. Phil with your driver, and that's exactly what the crew for the McDonald's team is doing. Graham Rahal, who is on the backstretch trying to limp his way back to pit road, is very, very upset. He said, it's the beginning of the race, and somebody just punted me. And very quietly and very resolutely, they said, look, calm down. It's a long race. It's a full course yellow. You're not going to lose a lot of time. And they ended it with something that maybe made him smile just a little bit. Said, remember, you spun early in the race last year. And he was deathly silent on the radio.
Now, do these laps count on the red tires?
They count as yellow, but you have to have 2 green, and there was not 2 green. So if you pitted now, it wouldn't fulfill the requirement.
Here's the incident at the very beginning of the race. The race to turn number 1 resulted in Tony Kanaan and Graham Rahal making contact.
And if you saw Tony Kanaan, he's the one that bumped Graham, but Tony got up on the inside and got somebody. He kind of he's forced into the curbs. Look at Tony. See Tony get up on the bumps?
Yeah.
He was on the brakes, and when Tony hit the bumps, the front wheel came up, and you could see where it was locked. So he just couldn't get locked down, and there's the dad's car getting just.
I think that was Dixon.
Right across.
I think Scott Dixon was the one that got into Mike Conway. This is the move I was talking about that I think is fantastic. Dario does the move of the century and doesn't touch anyone, but unfortunately, just like you talked about, Tony Kanaan got across the curbs. As soon as you hit the curbs, it's going to change your trajectory. This is who I think got into your driver, Robbie. Let's see if that's the contact. And
no, it wasn't. There was somebody
another car in between
on the left of Dixon that that hit Mike Conway and shot him right across the front. Wow, a lot happening.
Down to Robbie once again.
Well, guys, it looks like we have nose damage for Tony Kanaan's car. They had to change the nose. He went back out on blacks, but you can see the damage. The whole team's just shaking their head. They hope that didn't happen, and it's exactly what happened, guys. But they did have, you see the damage on the front of his car. You don't now because he's has the new nose. But that, and they did go back out on blacks, so kind of surprising. Not that they had the reds ready here on the edge, but they didn't go back out. But see the damage all on that left side. A lot of broken carbon fiber, Jack.
Yeah, Robbie, you talk about carbon fiber. How about a nose that's about $35,000, and that's the case. Graham Rahal, from that punt, you can see the damage to the nose, but why did they have to change it? Look over here. Everything else is intact. It's the side plate that caused Graham Rahal to have to come in. They got to get that downforce.
And that's because Alex Tagliani came across and drove right over that nose. Boy, tough start for Graham Rahal.
Graham Rahal's a lot of racetrack to make up in order for him to repeat as winner here at St. Petersburg. Pace car is still out ahead of the field as the laps click off, but they are all under caution. And let's get a report on Mike Conway from Lindy Thaxton.
Conway is having to go back. They have the right rear suspension is broken. They say you got hit. They want to try and fix it, but they are telling me at this point they just don't know.
Well, it's a tough start for this young man who has certainly a good resume as we come to IndyCar racing. And here's the number 2 car of Rafael Matos, which is coming in, the Lusso Dragon machine.
Yeah, there's a blend line right there when you come out, and you cannot improve. Right when you hit the blend line coming out of the pits, you have to fall in the car that's in the queue right behind them, and so he gassed it. And
you know, on the highway, I wish people merged like that on the highway. That's the way you should do it. He was aggressive, and he took the spot. There was no arguing about, can I please come in? He just took it.
The one thing, you know, the one thing that was really impressive is Franchitti going down the inside on black tires. He wasn't on the stickier red tires to make that pass work. Really impressive.
Jackaroo.
Fellas, every single team gets one of these sheets before the race, and that tells them what the past history has been. Past history has said there isn't a yellow flag until about lap 13 or so. Long green flag segments, but every crew chief took this morning and did this. Why? Because they felt that there were going to be more yellows this year. This because of 12 different driver combinations. That's going to come into play in terms of reds versus blacks. We're back to green.
Indeed, here we go once again. We'll watch Dario. He falls in behind the leader of the race, Justin Wilson, and Justin is leading his 5th IndyCar Series event. This is the first time that he has led since he won on the Belle Isle circuit last year. On board with Dario Franchitti in 2nd. That's Ryan Briscoe in 3rd and Will Power in 4th position.
Oh, what a move by Kanaan. Of course, he's working through slower cars because he did go onto pit road and get a new nose, so he's not necessarily, he's going to be a lot more racy, and he's bringing Graham Rahal with him. So they're trying to encourage Graham Rahal on the radio. Remember, this happened last year and you won the race. Obviously, a lot of cheerleading going on for Kanaan as well.
He just went to 18th position.
Yeah, and now is the time for Tony to make up that, you know, under those restarts, he's got to capitalize on the whole grid being as tight as possible. And here we're on board with Graham. This is a fast section, 155 miles an hour, good passing zone, down to 2nd gear, got it done, very clean. Now, Graham needs to get up there and catch up with Tony, and the two of them got to work together and bust up this pack.
Well, watch how much suspension movement there is. In particular, what you want to do is watch right in here, and you can really see how much the bumps, especially on the approach to turn number 1, and also if you look carefully, you can actually watch the sidewall of the Firestone alternate tires flex as you get through some of these higher speed corners.
And our Firestone telemetry at the top of the page will show you when on the throttle, on the brakes, his RPM and his speed, as well as the gear selection.
It really is something watching the movement in that suspension there. It just tells you how bumpy it is around this racetrack, how physical it is on the drivers.
But it also shows that you have to be compliant. You hear that word a lot up and down pit road. You can't just make a go-kart type stiff suspension. You have to let the car move. We're watching the Penske team work their way up, and they in the past have had great historical success on bumpy racetracks because for a while they own their own shock absorber company known as Penske Shocks.
Straightaway completing another lap. Now we go back and talk about his teammate Will Power in the number 3 car, at least at this point in the season.
And Will Power is absolutely showing that he's got the speed. And the one thing that the guys need to do at Team Penske is just manage Will Power. Say, hey, you already got the job here. You're doing a good job. We just need to bring you home. And if they can have him run all day, the results will come. The results will come.
And that's because Will Power does not lack speed on street circuits. He is a rocket ship. But We talked a brief bit yesterday about how Tim Cindric is really good at managing drivers.
At the top of your page, you can see the drivers that are on the primary tires and the alternates, or the red sidewalls. There is Scott Dixon, the defending champion of the IndyCar Series. And how about Darren Manning, who is running right ahead of him in that charter car for Dreyer and Reinbold Racing? That deal came together just a short time ago.
And both those guys you just mentioned, we're looking there at Darren Manning, followed by Dixon. Both of those guys started on the black sidewall tires, a little harder compound. You see all the cars, when they swerve out of the way there, what they're doing is there's a big bump in the middle of that back straightaway. So the guys are just swerving to miss that bump. Then they come back to their main brake zone to finish that turn.
And it's very convenient because you weave right where someone would try and overtake you. So it's a handy place to have a bump.
That's right. Oh, you're thinking about coming by me on the inside? No, you're not. I got to miss this bump.
When we go to commercial, you will not miss a thing. We call it IndyCar Non-Stop on Versus. Justin Wilson leads Dario Franchitti after 7 of 100 laps.
I'm running low on energy. Pit this lap, pit this lap. 3, 2, 1.
Get your heart ready. A new energy is going to jolt you. The unique energy of Brazilian products and services.
Standard fuel. Standard fuel. Watch me.
Go to experienceourenergy.com and discover the excitement.
Dudes, check it.
Oh, your new domain name and website from GoDaddy.com?
Yep, and now that I'm online, it's like I can make anything happen. Danica Patrick.
Suddenly I have the urge to take another shower.
This is awesome! Keep watching.
This is my 5th shower today.
Steamy. Steamy? Let's add the German woman from the dean's office. Miss Schmidt.
With Herculiner, it's easy to roll on a truck bed liner. It won't chip, flake, or peel. Herculiner is the only one with a textured rubber and polyurethane formula. It'll turn any truck bed into a tough, skid-proof, rust-resistant surface. Do it all yourself for less than $100. With Herculiner, the tough comes easy.
The repertoire of Miguel Torres is impressive. Beautiful right hand. Miguel Torres is complete everywhere. It's indeed. That's over.
Here at St. Petersburg, an example of how tight the racing is. Contact between Dario Franchitti and Tony Kanaan, and then a melee behind that. Take a look at the contact, sending Kanaan sideways and a lot of other cars scrambling to avoid.
And that was Franchitti 2 years ago in that orange and black car that just came down the inside to tap Kanaan.
And Tony Kanaan at the moment, let's see, he has moved up to 18th position after coming in after the first turn melee. There's Dario Franchitti running second, about 1 3/4 seconds behind the leader, Justin Wilson.
Seeing a nice example of the two cars on the two types of tires and comparing some of the lap time. A lot of people in the morning warm-up, Robbie, were saying that the alternate red sidewalls went off really quickly, but at the moment, Justin Wilson, who has a lot of experience on those tires, is keeping his pace up.
And I think Justin's style, he knows how to manage the tires. You know, as a driver, he's got a technique where he can really save fuel around here, but he can just roll the momentum. He's not beating up those tires.
Darren Manning is doing an incredible job. He is in 5th position. Remember how well he ran here 2 years ago for A.J. Foyt, and boy, he is staying right up there at the front again.
No, he did. He had a great run here 2 years ago. When we talked about who we were going to get in this car, a big part of that was Darren's experience of what he had done here the last 2 years right before. He was strong here last year as well, and he's showing he's got the same stuff. I like to see that.
I'm sure you would.
Yeah. The one thing, the change that he made on his car, that Darren made on his car, he didn't like the brakes he had on there before. The brakes he had on there, they were just too grabby. So he'd go to the pedal, and all of a sudden, they'd stop. He says, I need to have a little bit more feel in the brake pedal so I can control the car in the brake zones better.
And one of the things they have 3 choices of brake pad that changes that. They have a more aggressive pad, and the harder pads don't grab as aggressively. And funny enough, like you said, Robbie, occasionally a guy like Alex Tagliani, who we see now, always has a preference of what pad they like. They're made by different companies, but you find after a while that you learn the driving style. Some people like a light pedal, some like it heavy.
And that was a great shot of Alex's car there. That deal just came together for Eric Bachelor and Conquest Rating. We saw Rexall, Edmonton, Indy on there. I'm really happy to see those guys out here. Eric's a longtime friend and competitor of mine, so I'm happy to see him out here.
Tagliani running in 8th position. In 9th is Robert Dornbos, who's the teammate to Graham Rahal for Newman Haas Lanningen.
And he's had a tough time getting adjusted to this car. He's been running A1 GP, which is a lighter car, and he's used to kind of European style where you can brake really late and throw it into the corner. And he says, I'm coming down and I'm braking later than anybody, but I can't get it to turn. So the team keeps telling me, hey, brake earlier, take it easy. It's not often a team actually tells a guy, wait a minute, you got to back off.
No, you're actually right. And he's part of that unpredictability of qualifying. We thought we would have saw Robert Dornbos up a lot quicker.
The 21 car is driven by Ryan Hunter-Reay. This is another deal that came together late. This is the 2nd car for Vision Racing. Ed Carpenter, of course, is also on the team. He's back in 20th position. Ryan Hunter-Reay is in 10th. Bobby Rahal isn't in the series right now as a car owner. We hope he can get into the series before we go too much longer. But Ryan Hunter-Reay driving for Vision Racing.
And you mentioned Bobby Rahal, his team. At least Ryan Hunter-Reay has been able to bring his engineer that he worked with last year with Rahal. Otherwise, everyone to him is new.
Back in 11th position is Danica Patrick.
And there's Danica. I talked to Danica briefly this morning. She was pretty happy. This slow section of the racetrack right here, she said this was more of a challenging area for her just to be consistent through there and work the brake pedal. She said the fast stuff, the car's great, but she really just has to keep working on those slower corners and combinations there.
So interesting to hear her say in the pre-race show, shocking to me, I'm going to try to get less angry this year. I mean, that has been her motivator. Yeah. She has become angry because that gets the adrenaline going. So it is a tricky dynamic to get the adrenaline going and somehow do that without getting all fired up.
Well, I'm happy to say when I talked to her this morning right before warm-up, she was very nice. There was no anger there. She was pretty happy and excited to get things going. We can look, if you look out her front cam, if you look to the inside of those tire walls, and Jan, you can kind of do a little illustration. You can see the red rim right around the inside. So when we're on board, that's a good way to tell if we're on board with the black sidewalls, the red sidewalls.
It's visible for us here on TV, and it's also visible from the grandstand so that the people who are sitting in the stands can see who's on the alternates and who's on the primaries.
And this section is all in 2nd gear, right through there where we were going with it.
Well, Dario is staying close, at least, to Justin Wilson, Jack.
You know, Bob, I'm taking a look at the early going of this race after that snafu in the beginning. And, guys, I'm beginning to feel like if I am Justin Wilson, I look in the mirror and see Franchitti and go, drats. Simply because I've got the free space in front of me, but so far everybody's so close. I mean, the separation between Wilson and Franchitti is only a half second, and Ryan Briscoe's 2 seconds behind. Nobody's been able to separate from the field until you get down to about 12th or 13th spot. That's going to make this first pit stop really a gamble because it's going to be like feeding time at the zoo when they come on lap 30.
And Jack, there's one thing. Yes, he looks in the mirror and he says drats, but he also says, man, am I glad he's still behind me, because if I can stay ahead with the Reds, that plays right into my strategy.
The top 5 after 15 of 100 laps in the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. It's Justin Wilson, Dario Franchitti, Briscoe, Power, and Manning. Wilson has led every lap so far. Here's our race recap so far. If you're just joining us, we had an incident in turn number 1 on the first lap, Jan.
And that was the case again of Tony Kanaan. I don't think he was trying to go and win the race in the first corner, but he got on those rumble strips, and that put him right into Rahal. But what a tough break.
Alex Tagliani taking a trip through the dirt there in turn number 1 also. And Mike Conway suffering damage to his car. They begin now to lap some of the slower traffic. That's Stanton Barrett in the number 98 car. That is being passed by now Will Power. We are 18 laps into this race, and cars owned by Dale Coyne led a total of 16 laps during the entire 2008 season. And so far, driving for Coyne, Justin Wilson has led all laps. So they have surpassed that already. And here is the 27 car of Hideki Muto changing to the primaries.
When he stops now, Bob, that makes that a 3-stop race for Hideki Muto. They are not into the pit window yet to make it a 2-stopper. You would only stop then and sacrifice an additional stop if you really didn't like the Reds.
Yeah, and maybe, you know, they just felt the time drop off there with him on the Reds. He said, this is a good time to come with that. I think the scenario that we really got to watch for right now, Jan, is there we got Justin Wilson on the Reds, Dario right behind. We're getting to that window right now. We're just approaching that 20-lap window. Is Dario really going to be hounding Justin because those red tires, because they don't have as, you know, the life of them may not be as good and as long.
There's the number 4 car, Dan Weldon, driving for Panther Racing this year in the National Guard machine. There's Stanton Barrett and Alex Tagliani right behind him. Barrett is a lapped car. Tagliani running in 8th.
And Tagliani just has to be real patient here. Very tough area to pass. Just wait. Come off of this turn 9. You got a long straightaway. Set yourself up. And sure enough, Stanton did a nice job. Just kind of let him take the proper racing line, and that was all clean.
Stanton Barrett, a NASCAR driver, coming to the IndyCar Series for 2009. That's Robert Dornbos, who is running in 9th. Ryan Hunter-Reay 10th. Danica Patrick 11th.
Hideki Muto came into the pits, and you were speculating, and you know what? I think it's opened the door. I talked to Tim Green just now, and he told me, he said, look, we had to get the Reds off. Not that there was anything wrong with them, but if we came in early, got the Reds off, maybe before everybody sequences in about 10 laps, we might be able to get some spots. That's one of the things that's important here in street course racing. Track position and pitting early. Lindy.
EJ Vizo came in on the Reds. He is now on the blacks. He told me this morning he is not happy with the Reds. They're hard for him. They used the Reds first to get them out of the way. His best finish here last year, 4th.
I'm not sure, Jan, you explain to us why you, if you were a driver or a car owner, would suggest that you start the race on Reds.
Because in a case like EJ Vizo, he's made an early pit stop because they didn't perform for him. Now he has the whole rest of the race to have his best tires on. And for Justin Wilson, his job right now, his only job is to keep Dario Franchitti behind him and see if he can make it to lap 34 to make it a 2-stop race. If he does that, Dario will go on to the red sidewall tires, and everyone here for long runs wants the blacks. The trick is get it out of the way early.
And that's why these next 15 laps, watching what happens with Justin Wilson on these Reds, see where he goes with that, because then that will tell the story maybe as we get later to the race, and the guys on the blacks that haven't been out on the Reds, what they'll do with them.
Now, between you and me, because you know we have alternate strategies here, if Justin keeps him behind, the red strategy works. If he can't, then your strategy is the one to have.
There, yep. That's Dale Coyne, the car owner of the leading Justin Wilson. Now, let's go down to Lindy Thaxton.
Justin is going to come in and pit between lap 28 and 33. They are going to be going on to the blacks. Guys, when he has been having hot laps around here, he has been radioing back, hey, I just wanted to show you guys that I could do that. Everyone here in the crew saying they are excited. They feel they have a legitimate chance of winning this race. Down to Robbie.
Well, Scott Dixon's supposed to come in about lap 34 or 35. We're expecting about the same thing from Dario Franchitti. And you're right, guys. They're trying to stay as close as they can to Justin Wilson. That's the goal, of course, the red-black differential. But Dario Franchitti, their thing is they're in the catbird seat right now. They're not talking too much because they think that they can win on pit out. They think that they can pit quicker than anyone else. And at any given time, they can take the lead.
Well, the races certainly have been won in the past on pit road, and we get a good example for Vitor Meira. Again, we talked about these crews. This is one of their first stops they've done in well, it is the first stop they've done in competition. Great to get those nerves out of the way.
We're watching Mario Moraes, Rafael Matos, and Tony Kanaan, 11th, 12th, and 13th here.
And remember, TK had that incident on the first lap, and he's just working his way up through the pack. So what he's going to do is he's going to want to get on the back of Rafa and just fill his mirrors and just kind of pressure him into a little bit of hiccup and say, hey, I'm TK back here. I've been around for a long time. You're a rookie. Help me out. Is that going to happen? No. No.
Negative.
Now, can we assume, though, that maybe these Reds aren't dropping off as much as they thought they would?
Depends how hard you push them. And that's what I think Justin Wilson is doing great. He's managing his tires just perfectly.
Yeah, and I think that there's going to be a big spread of a lot of people. There's going to be some cars that have a setup that are suited better for the red tires than others. And that's going to, you know, accelerate how the Reds may fall off.
Well, Justin Wilson leads by about 1.2 seconds over Dario Franchitti, Ryan Briscoe, Will Power, and Darren Manning. Here are some of the early sights and sounds of the Honda Grand Prix at St. Petersburg on Versus.
22 cars now on the front straight. There's the green flag, and we are underway at St. Pete. 5 wide as they hit in there. Who's going to come out ahead?
They go 3 wide, and Justin Wilson gets through. Ray Hall is spinning. Tagliani goes through the infield. Dixon goes onto the grass, and Graham Rahal is still rolling, but he is going to go from first to last in the first turn.
City, and today it is full of race fans watching the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, Florida. What a tremendous job Andretti Green does of promoting this event, and it's very well supported by the community here in St. Petersburg. We love coming here, and we're glad you're with us on Versus. Once again, we're back here at this battle involving Mario Moraes, Rafael Matos, and Tony Kanaan, and here comes Graham Rahal making up the positions he lost in that first lap incident.
Now, if you're racing on a big oval and you had a faster car, you'd blow by these guys. But Graham Rahal is in a position to where he has at least as fast of a car as Kanaan, if not faster, and both of them are faster than Moraes. But there are so few limited opportunities to get by here right now. They're going to ride around and save some fuel, so there'll be more racing later on in the race.
And part of their strategy that they've kind of been forced to go on. Now look at the speed going down into Indy 156 miles an hour down to second gear. Coming back to the strategy for Tony Kanaan and Graham is they got to get out of sequence maybe somewhere in the pits. Something that helps them gain that track position, and that's the pit strategy's job to get that done for them.
Kanaan right behind Mario Moraes, who's driving for KB Racing Technology this year.
And Mario was very excited this morning. They made a setup change on his car. Both Jimmy Vasser, team owner, and Mario Moraes were all kind of smiles because they said, well, we blew it in qualifying, but we love the change we made on the car. And he, at the moment, is looking pretty racy, obviously, if you're keeping these two behind.
28 of 100 laps completed in the streets of St. Petersburg in the Honda Grand Prix opening race of the 2009 IndyCar Series.
You know, and I was just looking over at the lap times, and Justin Wilson, who has now done 27 laps on those red sets of tires, he's running as fast, if not faster, than anybody else on the racetrack, and especially than Dario Franchitti, who's in second chasing him. So Justin is pulling that gap out.
Oh, Mario Moraes got a bit nervous going in. That's if you're running a little bit more rear brake bias when you're turning off of the brakes. They'll tend to get the back out.
And our GoDaddy.com biggest movers of the race shows us that Moraes has gained 7 positions since the beginning of the event.
Obviously, his car really is working a lot better. Like you said, Jan, you talked to him this morning and pretty happy with it. But he is using all those tires, you know, laying down the rubber, just trying to keep Tony Kanaan behind him.
Now, he did get most of those positions in the first corner. He happened to get through clean. However, yes, he is racy, but when you start losing power down, when you start seeing black rubber marks going off of a slow corner, it's not going to be long to where you're going to lose a lot of grip.
No, that's from the cockpit side of it, you really start working the wheel. TK looking down the inside. It's not going to happen. When we saw Mario get a little sideways.
Oh, I thought for a moment that Graham Rahal may be thinking about making a move on Kanaan.
Oh, he doesn't have the roof, and Kanaan is trying to get around Marias.
Yeah, I think Tony said, hey, Graham, you just wait a second here. I'm going to get by Mario first. So,
but I think the intentions have been shown. I think that Graham Rahal is tired about running behind Kanaan. He's like, we got to get with it here. And he is starting to get the bit between his teeth. And he'll get those instructions from the pit. They'll say, you know what? You saved enough fuel on that last lap. Go after him. You can use a little more.
Looking back out of TK's car right now, right at Graham Hill, fast, flat out, 11-12.
Is Graham Hill running here?
Excuse me, that's it.
He was named.
You knew you were going to get me back.
Yeah, I know. You got that the other day. He was named after Graham Hill. Of course, Graham Rahal really wants to pick it up. We just saw his teammate, Robert Dornbos, in a bit of a moment down in turn 1.
Dornbos running in 8th position, and right behind him is the 21 car. Down to Jack.
Guys, I'm running the numbers, and I think the magic number to make this in 2 stops is going to be around lap 33. You got to take a look at some of the leaders, like Justin Wilson is coming in on lap 28 to 29. That means he might have to come for a splash and go. Who do I like right now for the victory? I got to look at Team Penske. That's the way it's paying forward right now. Pit stops are about to come up, and it is going to get fast and furious here at the Honda Grand Prix in St. Petersburg. But don't worry, you're going to see it all right here next on Versus.
Take me out to the Brickyard. Take me out with the crowds. Buy me some earplugs and a checkered cap. I don't care if we ever get back. Take me out to the Brickyard. Take me out where it's loud. This place has a history that stirs the soul. 100-year drama that never gets old. Let me root, root, root over the engine's roar. Let me cheer every driver and car. For it's 300, 400, 500 miles round the old Brickyard.
Get your heart ready. A new energy is going to jolt you. The unique energy of Brazilian products and services.
Watch me.
Go to experienceourenergy.com and discover the excitement.
I've driven a lot of different cars, but 2 things never change. No one demands more from their car than me, and nothing protects under the hood better than Peak.
Peak Long Life Antifreeze is formulated with an advanced organic technology to protect any engine of any make, any model, any time. If you can drive it, Peak can protect it.
And when I drive it, it better perform.
Peak Long Life Antifreeze.
When you peak, you win.
Full course caution as you rejoin us here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. Rafael Matos has a very badly damaged race car. This is the Lusso Dragon team, and there is damage at the front and the back of that machine.
But look, here's the telltale sign. There's a tire mark on the side pod, meaning that someone hit him. and put him in that position. Now, of course, that could have happened in the first turn at the start, but certainly looks like he had side-to-side contact with another car. Great to see him get out. That's a big wreck.
It is, and that is the fastest section of the track in terms of a corner. You got that fast 11, 12, you know, fifth gear flat out, and now we're at Marias. This is over in turn 4, where obviously he's had some damage. And there's
Danica Patrick.
Wow.
All kinds of stuff going on
those
here.
Those are absolute independent incidents. It just so happened it all happened on that same lap, but on two totally different sections of the racetrack.
It all began when Alex Tagliani had a problem. Well, let's go back, and here's Danica with Stanton Barrett going around him cleanly.
Looking back at Rafa right there. There's Rafa looking down the inside. And there's that tire mark, Jan, that you just circled earlier.
There's the tire mark. But where's Danica's car? Because...
Danica took as hard a hit as anybody.
Wow.
Man.
Thank goodness for those tires.
Oh, man, that is a big wreck.
Wow. Well, obviously, Danica just, you know, Rafa looked down the inside.
Now, before that, there was this incident that flattened the right rear of Tagliani.
Those wing end plates, you make contact with the Firestones, they'll cut them.
Oh, they're like a sharp knife.
Yep, and Alex Tagliani spun this car around, kept it running, and got it back to the pits on a flat. But my, oh my, that's a big wreck. I should say that I believe that we saw one of the Penske team cars pit just before this caution, which is Briscoe. Everyone else will now pit ahead of him. That's going to give Briscoe the lead.
Yes, it is, and that was lap 32. Take note, he came in at lap 32.
Perfect timing. I mean, you never want to see something like this, but as far as a full course caution, Ryan Briscoe just got a huge bonus.
There is Danica and Rafa Matos. Rafa, of course, the former Firestone Indy Lights driver, moving up to the IndyCar Series this year. They're both okay, but boy, they sure had hard hits.
They did, and I'm a big fan of Rafa. I hate to see him not finishing this race.
And here's another coming together of cars. That's Marias and Muto.
And watch the leader of the race,
Justin Wilson.
Great heads-up driving by Justin. You see him go a little bit to the right and use the brakes. There it is. Look at Justin on the left of your screen.
He was like, I'm going to shoot the gap. No, I'm not. No.
Heads-up stuff.
Danica and Matos have some words, but obviously there's no hard feelings here.
No, just see them both okay. But, I mean, there's the universal language for a driver talking about what you're doing with the cars, having your hands together there. And you know, Rafa looked down the inside there, and Danica didn't see him, because that's a tough place to get a pass done, Jan, right there.
That was a very, very low percentage place to make a pass. Obviously, he had a run because of traffic, but that's a very low percentage move.
Absolutely.
That was in turn number 12.
Right there where the Acura bridge is. If you look at that Acura bridge, that's right where the contact was. Rafa, right as they were coming under there, was looking to the inside. Danica didn't know that he was there and just came down.
And it's a 130-mile-an-hour approach into that corner, which is why we saw the kind of wreck we did. Danica Patrick, let's see if Matos gets alongside or not, and no. So that's, in my mind, Rafael Matos's accident. He was the one that did not get. There's no way that Danica could. She would have seen him coming, but he didn't take the position. You have to get all the way alongside somebody to take it. When you're going 130 miles an hour, you got to turn into the corner, and he just didn't have the position in my mind.
I absolutely agree with you. But even if you would have gotten the pass done alongside, where are you going to end up in this fast section of the racetrack? You know, you got to think ahead of where it's going to put you. If he would have gotten alongside her coming into there, Danica would have ended up way out in the marbles there.
Yeah, just not a good place to try. And look at the carnage. Oof. And again, these cars are supposed to do that. The more damage you see on the car, the better for the driver. Lindy?
Justin Wilson coming in, getting a full tank of gas. He is off come the reds and on go the blacks. He has no changes in tire pressure, no changes, period. He says he loves this car right now.
And Dario Franchitti, it was a perfect timing for them. Guys, I didn't see many adjustments, but one thing to notice, the right front was blistering a little bit. This is a perfect time for a pit stop. Looking farther down into Will Powers' pit Dennis, it looks like they were due also fuel and 4 tires, no other changes.
But Robbie Dixon has trouble. They had to roll Scott Dixon back into, so Scott Dixon is losing a ton of time. They still don't have him in his spots.
All kinds of problems on pit road. Dixon still waits.
They couldn't reach the fuel hose. They're dragging the back of the car to try and get it close enough to get the fuel connected, and they go on the red sidewalls. They may have changed their mind after the miscue to try to now go with the Firestone alternates, but wow, that's not what you want when you're coming back as the series champ.
No, and that team, Target, Chip Ganassi, you know, the guys were pretty excited when I talked to the crew chief there, Ricky, this morning. He said, you know, we can help them on pit road. Well, that didn't go as planned, that's for sure.
But what a payday for Ryan Briscoe. Just happened to pit moments before all of the carnage, and boy, did that pay off.
Let's take a look at all the activity that occurred on pit lane. There's Franchitti.
Let's see, maybe Dixon can't. Oh, wait a minute.
It started early, didn't it?
It started with Will Power went past his box, and so that was not a miscue by the Target Chip Ganassi team. That was a case where he just couldn't get into his box.
No, he was boxed out.
Yeah, there you go.
He was boxed out.
Oh, he locked it up and missed it. Oh, Will. That's the kind of problems, unfortunately, Will Power has had. He is lightning fast on street circuits, but it's little things in the pits or clipping a wall on the racetrack during the race that has been his bugaboo.
Well, 35 laps are completed, and Ryan Briscoe is shown as the leader of the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, with Dan Weldon running second and Dario Franchitti third on Versus. Welcome back to the IndyCar Series on Versus, as we take a look at some of the high rises overlooking the race course here at this beautiful city in Florida. Tonight on Versus at 7 o'clock Eastern, it's the BPR Nampa bull riding competition. I love to watch that. And WEC action tonight at 9 o'clock. Plus Sports Soup right after that. All on Versus tonight. Back in 2005, there was an incident between A.J. Foyt IV and Elio Castro Neves in the same corner, a little bit further down the racetrack.
Yeah, absolutely further down the racetrack. Definitely a little slower section once you get through that area, and the walls aren't right there. You know, same result, both those guys were taken out. I think, you know, the blindness of what we saw with Rafa and Danica just not knowing what's happened, very different.
That was in 2005.
It's also worth noting that I talked about the great fortune for Ryan Briscoe. There's a couple other people that had pitted just before that as well. Dan Weldon, who now is listed in second spot. Now E.J. Viso is listed in third. He pitted way back on lap 20. Ryan Hunter-Reay in fourth. He was on 32, and Dornbos pitted on lap 30. So Ryan Briscoe wasn't the only beneficiary of that slightly earlier strategy, and what a great way to do it. You come in a lap early when you actually can't make it a two-stop race, and it totally ends up paying dividends and makes you go to the front.
And now with this long yellow right now, Jan, it really does make it a pretty easy two-stop race for some of these guys that have come in on that lap number 32.
And the only person left off, Marco Andretti, went all the way kind of from the back to sixth by making a stop on 17. Now, of course, that means he'll be in the pits not too long, but he at least got track position.
You bet.
We look forward to our coverage of the Indianapolis 500 on Versus this year with qualifications and a post-race show. There is A.J. Foyt's team. He, of course, a four-time winner. The Indianapolis Motor Speedway is celebrating 100 years of worldwide leadership in motorsports entertainment, and throughout the year on Versus, we'll bring you IZOD Centennial Moments of History at the world-famous Indianapolis Motor Speedway.
I ran a little midget race at Terre Haute or whatever, just hard. I run the Indy 500, and to see somebody win Indianapolis for the fourth time, I think that meant a whole lot to the crowd. At that time, you know, Mr. Holman rode around on the victory lap with me, and instead of my wife, which it was a thrill to have him, and I don't know if that was the first time he ever rode with a Indy 500 winner, but I think he was very happy that I won it for the fourth time. It was a dream come true. It took me 10 years to get that fourth one, but if it had took 20 years, it was worth it.
Of course, there have been two other four-time winners since A.J. did that, Al Unser and Rick Mears, but A.J. Foyt's record at Indianapolis is unparalleled. There he is as a car owner. Let's talk to Danica Patrick.
Well, Danica Patrick has made her way down to our little pit central. And Danica, we're going to show you up here on this monitor and gives you a chance to see what's going on. So Rafa's in the inside.
It's not exactly the ideal spot to pass. You know, I think, you know, what are we on, lap 38 or something? We call lap traffic into, I call lap traffic into 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, the middle section, and I tried to pass him down the back straight, and he kind of came down in the kink, which is what slowed me up. And then just coming out of the corner, you know, just going down into the fast chicane there was just, there's no room. There's not room for two people there. It's just not an ideal spot to try and make something happen.
Do you think, though, that maybe the fact that on a street course like this, there isn't the extent of spotters that you have on ovals and some other closed course road courses that can contribute to some of these things?
You know, I think that it's real tough to have a spotter on a road course. Things happen really quickly, and you don't have time to sort of look in your mirrors and stuff. It's pretty much look forward. Although I was looking in my mirrors and I saw him, he just wasn't all the way up next to me, and it was a brave maneuver that did not make it.
Thanks, Danica. Let's check in with Robbie Floyd.
Well, guys, let me show you a little something. Dario Franchitti, I talked about it just before the pit stop. He was reporting that he was starting to lose that right front tire. He was wanting to come in. They were trying to stretch it because he had a blister. I thought, till I went to one of the Firestone reps, he says, that's not a blister. That's actually a flat spot. So he flat spotted the tires. They were concerned. They were going to try and bring him in a little bit earlier, but it came at the exact right time for that, guys. Looks like we're going back to green.
Indeed we are. The field comes off of corner number 14 onto runway number 25 here at Whitted Airport in St. Petersburg. Back to green. Brian Briscoe, the leader, and everybody falls into single file formation almost through turn 1.
And Justin Wilson still trying to fight side by side. And he thought for a moment about Dornbos, but he thought maybe not. We got to think about, all right, now he's going to the inside of Dornbos.
And he's up alongside him. There's a good clean pass. Yes, he's got it done. Look at Franchitti trying to follow along in behind him.
And right behind him is Graham.
Graham Rahal knows now is an opportunity to make up for some lost ground, and he's right behind. In fact, I think that Franchitti may have made an aggressive move to get, I'm trying to think if Rahal has lost the spot or whether he's now right in the back and gaining on Franchitti.
And Franchitti had a run on Dornbos in front of him. Here, look at that. Pick it up. Franchitti's looking down the inside. No, I'm just going to tuck back in. Riding on board with Dario. This is a fast section of the racetrack. Now, if you're going to make a good clean pass, a good shot off here. Right now, Dario's thinking, I want to put the power down. Put the power down. And he's got a good run. Yes, he does. We're looking at him. There he is on the left side of our screen, and he's going to get that pass done on Robert Dornbos.
And look at Justin Wilson pick up a spot.
Justin Wilson got to the inside of Ryan Hunter-Reay. This is tough for Justin Wilson because all these cars that got ahead in the pit sequence now are going to be tough for him. E.J. Viso is his next victim.
Not this time.
And we know EJ is very aggressive on this racetrack. He is not going to make it easy for Justin to get by.
Off corner number 9, Tampa Bay to the left of the drivers.
Now Justin is a guy, they're coming up to the spot, to the high-speed chicane where we saw the Rafael Matos, Danica Patrick confrontation, and no such confrontation for Justin Wilson. He knows he's going to be patient and wait for the front stretch.
Coming down to complete number 42 at St. Petersburg in the Honda Grand Prix. Ryan Briscoe leads Dan Weldon, E.J. Viso, Justin Wilson, and Brian Hunter-Reay. IndyCar Non-Stop on Versus. The streets of St. Petersburg on Versus. I'm Bob Jenkins with Jan Beekes and Robbie Buell here in the booth. Robbie Floyd and Lindy Thaxton are on pit lane, and Jack Arute is our pit analyst. The leader of the race with 43 laps completed is Ryan Briscoe by about 1 second over Dan Weldon. E.J. Viso is third, Justin Wilson fourth, Ryan Hunter-Reay is shown in fifth position. And we've been told that everybody has had their stint on the red alternate tires except Ed Carpenter. He still has not fulfilled his obligation to run them at least 2 laps of green.
Great scrap behind here. Yeah, between Dan Weldon, E.J. Viso, and then Justin Wilson. The one thing about E.J. Viso, he pitted back on lap 20, so he still has 2 stops to make. So they'll call him on the radio and say, you don't have to save fuel. You can use all the fuel you want. So he'll be very racy, staying ahead of Justin Wilson.
One of the interested spectators here at this event is Oriol Serbia. He's with our pit strategist, Jack Arute.
And there is nothing worse for a driver than having to watch on television. Oriol, you're out of it right now, but when are we going to see you back?
Hopefully soon. I mean, I must admit I'm a terrible race fan, and it's not fun to be here watching these guys drive from pit lane, but it is what it is, you know. I mean, it's tough economy for everybody, and I just know that, you know, things are going to get better. There's a lot of things that are working, and unfortunately, I cannot be in the grid today, but I'll be soon, and I'm ready to go for it.
Very quickly, as you're watching this race unfold down here, are you seeing any things that are of interest to you in terms of someone doing the right thing?
Absolutely. I think it's a great first race of a season. It always happens like this. We have a long winter. We all get ready, and we
But who do you like? Who do you like to what you've seen so far? Marco Andretti's off strategy. He's gone on to the Reds. Is that going to come into play here?
Absolutely. I mean, the Firestone Reds always bring an extra edge to whoever has them, and playing it at the right time, like Marco probably is now, definitely can make you win the race, especially when it's a kind of crazy race like this one.
Yeah, it is a crazy race, and guys, the strategies, that's what keeps unfolding, and it's become so fluid down here. I'm starting to notice that people that thought they knew, kind of like Jim Morris said, you think you know, but you just don't know anymore.
I love the way Oriol Serbia rolls his R's. I wish I could do that.
Oh, when you're from Catalonia, it becomes a little easier.
Here comes Weldon. There's Viso running in third spot.
He was one of the few cars that had a massive change in balance when he would go between the 2 tires. Many people said, you know, the grip changed, the whole overall grip level changes, but in his case, he put on the Reds and had massive understeer, and so he'll be happy now that he's fulfilled his requirement. He will be unhappy that he has to make 1 more pit stop than all these people he's racing with right now.
His best finish of 2008 was right here in the streets of St. Petersburg. Finished 4th, led 12 laps. Little debris on the racetrack there, out of the groove. Justin Wilson in the 19 Sonny's barbecue car for Dale Coyne Racing is running 4th.
Yeah, and showing pretty good patience there. I mean, you know, he's just smart enough to wait for the opportunity to set himself up on EJ, and that hasn't presented itself, so he's just pacing himself along. There's still a lot of racing left.
He started 3rd, finished 9th here last year. There's the leader, Ryan Briscoe, and the captain, Roger Penske, is watching his drivers here. One of them is leading the race in Ryan Briscoe. Will Power now runs in the 12th position. Ryan Briscoe shown as the leader of the race. 47 laps completed at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Pete. Very close to the halfway point of the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, opening race of the 2009 IndyCar Series. We're glad to have you with us on Versus. 12 of 17 events on the series this year will be right here. We're watching E.J. Viso. He's still running in 3rd position. Right ahead of him is Dan Weldon, and right behind him is the Justin Wilson car. Now, E.J. Viso entertained a group of at-risk students from Thomasville, Georgia yesterday, giving them an idea of what the mechanics are like and some of the responsibilities of the team. E.J. Viso currently running in 3rd position. There's Graham Rahal. He's back in 7th. Dario is 6th.
On board with Dario right there. This is a slower section of the racetrack, 4, 5, and 6. Again, just a rhythm section here. And as you come on here, turn 9, the racetrack really falls away right there. There's a big crown on there. You don't get a sense of it riding on board with him, but there's really a big crown in the road. Flat out kink, 156 miles an hour, down to 2nd gear.
And he was happy with the alternates in qualifying, but they made a bit of a mistake because they had no experience with the alternate tires. The first set he put on, they said took a little while to come in, so they made an adjustment. The second set came in so quickly, he missed the sweet spot. Well, they've learned that lesson now, and we have seen that once you get some rubber on the racetrack, you can still be really... And E.J. Viso locks an inside right front, and that allows Justin Wilson to get closer.
That's a good battle here for 3rd spot. Let's see if Wilson might act here quickly. Getting to the inside. Is he going to do it? Yes, he did.
Now look at the difference on a guy like Justin Wilson who gets all the way alongside. There was no way that E.J. Viso could turn into that corner if he wanted to. That's the way you do it.
Yeah, and it was his patience that paid off. He saw that little mistake from E.J. going into turn 1. He's like, okay, now's my time. So he got right up there on his gearbox as you go through turns 2 and 3, and a good, clean pass. No risk.
Dan Weldon working through slower traffic. That'll give an opportunity for Justin Wilson to get closer to yet another spot.
And Ryan Hunter-Reay is now breathing down E.J. Viso's rear wing. Here's Wilson trying to get around the slower car of Stanton Barrett, car number 98. Momentum is so important on a road course.
And you see on the approach, you'll see the right front lock and, more importantly, a momentum loss. The moment that you do that, then you smell blood if you're Justin Wilson, and what a move, Robbie.
It sure was. And there it is. He's up alongside of him. E.J. Viso has nowhere to go. I can't turn into the corner when you get alongside of him. That's what they teach you as you come up through the racing ranks. Sometimes you listen, sometimes you don't.
Sometimes you force the issue and you end up in the tire wall.
Well, we all know once the green flag drops, when you're a race driver and you get the helmet on, all bets are off. And sure enough, you know, Justin's gapped himself probably about a second already just in that lap.
Oh, look at this.
All stacked up right there with that blue and white car, Stanton Barrett, as they're under the braking zone, and just kind of that whole queue worked their way through.
Among the cars there, Scott Dixon, who's back in 14th after an absolute train wreck on pit lane.
We're on board with Scott Dixon. Now look at that front suspension move up and down as you're under this braking zone and rolling down into turn 1.
But also look carefully right here. He has a broken wing stay. That is supposed to be connected to give you a little additional support. It's not really going to slow him down, but it's because it's so bumpy here, it's actually snapped that cable that supports the front wing flap.
And like you say, that isn't going to slow him right. You know, isn't going to slow him down very much, and we've noticed earlier that was broken, so I don't think that's going to be an issue.
No, but I'm just saying it's representative of how bumpy it is here, and it tends to snap parts. What a big group of cars this is. This is one of those things where all of a sudden you have one of those momentum losses that we just saw, and Stanton Barrett is now stopped.
Turn 8.
Oh, full course caution. Ryan Briscoe's thinking, oh, man, I just gapped the field. Oh. Oh, wait a minute. The yellow's out. Oh, he must be returning to his previous position. There's no passing under yellow, so he's given that one back.
And like you said, Ryan Briscoe, just in the last, 5 laps, he was really getting into the zone. He had built a gap of just over 4 seconds, and it was, he was laying down some fast laps.
It all goes away because of this full course caution from Stanton Barrett, whose car is stopped on the racetrack. There's Ed Carpenter, who is the last car on the lead lap, back in 15th spot. Vitor Meira coming through. There is Scott Dixon. Alex Tagliani, who had a problem at the beginning of the race and also on pit lane. Pits are open as the crowd is soaking up the sun and the atmosphere and the excitement of the IndyCar Series.
Not a great time to pit, unfortunately. So, I mean, it's good because now you get to bring all the field together and we get to see people duke it out who were previously stuck in traffic.
There you say, E.J. Viso, he just ducked off.
Yeah.
The last time he came into the pits was 20, so that's why we saw him go off there. And like you say, not a favorable time.
Down to Lindy.
E.J. Viso in for fuel and new tires. He has advanced the most laps of anyone in this race. He started 16th, got all the way up to 3rd. Clearly, he feels more comfortable on these primary tires. And here he goes. Robbie.
And if Ryan Briscoe's pit, nothing. He didn't turn in, guys. He was out in front, did not even want to turn in. They're doing stuff to Will Power's car right now, so we're already seeing maybe some fuel stuff going on, little, chicanery. I don't know what you want to call it, but Will Power's off, but Briscoe did not come in.
Well, we didn't expect Briscoe to come in, but I'm trying to look and calculate why they would have brought Power. So I'll get back to you on that one. That was unexpected. We knew Viso was going to turn on the pit road. That we knew was coming. But interesting strategy for Mr. Power.
Maybe there was something they didn't like in the handling of the car, or they felt something was, he had flat spotted some of the tires, because I think he came in last time on lap 35, which easily makes it, a two-stop race for you, Jan.
Yeah, he's going to have to stop again. That's the thing. There's no way you would come on the pit road unless, like you said, you had something that really needed fixing.
Ryan Briscoe has led 9 races in 2008, including 6 of the final 9, and 2 of his 3 wins came in those final 9, including a win in the non-points race at Surfers Paradise in Australia. All right, getting set for a restart here. And the Apex Brazilian restart green flag drops. Here we go. Look at Justin Wilson to the inside of Weldon, coming into one. Not going to be able to make the pass.
Ooh, I thought he had a great drive off that final corner. Oh, but Weldon, for a moment there, looked like he slipped coming off of one.
Let's see, the next good opportunity to pass is getting into turn 4. No, too big of a gap right there back to Justin Wilson.
Boy, Justin got a great run off that final corner, and that could be a case where the Panther car of Weldon runs a little less wing, just a different strip on the back of the rear wing, because you would have thought the way that Wilson got off that final corner, he should have been able to blow by Weldon.
And you got the trade-off, putting the power down with more downforce. That's good on the initial acceleration, but then at the tail end of it in the higher speed stuff, your acceleration stops, and maybe that was the case.
I did look at a car this morning, and they weren't trimmed out this morning, so it may have just been a case of Dan Weldon just doing a great braking job into turn 1.
Absolutely.
Briscoe opens up the advantage over Dan Weldon. Everything is in good shape as we complete lap number 57. Ryan Briscoe leads Weldon, Wilson, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Dario Franchitti at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg on Versus. Welcome to Versus, the IndyCar Series. Here's what's happened so far in this race, lap 1.
And that was turn number 1. Tony Kanaan got across the rumble strips, punted. Graham Rahal, unfortunately, also involved Mike Conway.
And here we're on board with Dixon. He's trying to get into his box, but no, Will Power went through his pit box and kind of boxed out Dixon. And so they got to roll both cars back. And then what happens here is Dixon really struggles to get a fuel hookup.
Lap 33, the biggest crash of the day. Danica Patrick and Rafael Matos. Huge impact. Thankfully, neither one injured.
Marias taking a look on. Hideki getting down the inside. Spins around Marias. Look at his right rear, and he's done.
And a cut rear tire for Alex Tagliani. Those front wings of Vitor Meira just shredded that rear tire. And boy, we had a section of that early going that was all action.
Once again, Ryan Briscoe has separated himself from the rest of the field by about 1.4 seconds. Put a good battle back here for second, third, fourth on back. Second place still is Dan Weldon in his first drive for this team, Panther Racing, this year. He drove for the team earlier in his career. Justin Wilson running in third position there in the Sonny's Barbecue number 19. Ryan Hunter-Reay fourth, and Franchitti is running in fifth position. Well past the halfway mark as we go down to our pit strategist, Jack Arute.
Hey guys, you remember when I took the race history and I crumbled it up? I had to go dive back into the wastebasket because that's exactly what Tim Cindric has done. I went down and talked to him about why he brought Will Power in. He says he's gone back to the paper saying in the second half of the race we're going to have a few cautions, and he said, look, I need to try and do something to gain some track position. He said, I know I'm going to have to pit most likely for a splash and go. He says, but what the heck? Let's roll the dice. We're not good enough to run up front. Let's find out what else is happening down here on the pitch. Let's check in first with Lindy Thaxton. Lindy.
I'm with John Barnes at Panther Racing, and Dan Weldon has said, I am so happy to be home with Panther Racing, and I would not be here if I didn't think that we could do what he is doing right now.
Yeah, well, it's really good to have him back. Part of our family, and you know, him with the National Guard is just a great marriage. He does a great job with us.
What are you hearing him say over the radio?
Let's get this thing done. He wants to win.
He's feeling the pressure from behind, certainly. And let's get to Robbie Floyd.
Guys, I'm at Dario Franchitti's pits, and you notice just behind me, you see a brand new red there, and you might be wondering why is that. We actually flat spotted one in qualifying. They gave him one because of that. But he actually has some scuffed reds. So yes, he's out there on the reds, but he may actually go back out on reds again, the scuffed ones that he was able to use during earlier competition in qualifying. Now, he told me, as Jan had talked about earlier, that he really liked the reds. Those things were well working for him. So when you have something to fall back on, some extra, some scuffs, that's a good thing.
As the track rubbers up, the more rubber you have on the racetrack, the better the alternate red sidewalls will be, but that's going to be risky to try it at the end of the race.
And we heard from his crew guys that the red tires is great power down. When Dario puts those on, it really lets him go to the throttle hard.
Let's take a look at our GoDaddy biggest movers. Ryan Hunter-Reay started 14th, currently runs in 4th position. Weldon also with a good move, as did Muto, and Ed Carpenter has gone from 22nd to 15th. GoDaddy.com, where you can make the web your domain with a .com name for less than $1 a month. There's the interval between first and second, and there's not much interval between second, third, and fourth.
Been hanging in there.
Boy, what a day he has had. Became the youngest pole winner in IndyCar Series history yesterday. Started on the pole, but it just didn't work for him as he was hit in turn 1 on the first lap. Firestone telemetry from Graham Rahal. We'll watch how the throttle is all the way to the floor.
All the way down up to 5th gear here for him. 4th gear down to 2nd, hard on the brakes. Again, now it's just a bit all 2nd gear through here, just patient on the throttle. Got to watch the walls, and this is part of that transition. The pavement really falls away here. But look at where Grant, he's made it all the way back up to 6th after the beginning of this race. You never give up at any point in these races.
Now, what you learned from that telemetry was he's using the qualifying gears. There are times that when you're saving fuel, you'll actually take some of those 2nd gear corners in 3rd. He's back with the race gears or qualifying gears, meaning he's not saving fuel.
Graham Rahal in 6th position. Dan Weldon is running in 2nd spot. However, we anticipate that he may be coming into the pit area for a stop in the next 2 or 3 laps. Stay with us for more of the IndyCars on Versus. completed if you are joining us here on Versus. And E.J. Viso had a bit of a problem getting the fuel hose disconnected, but he's rolling. And just before that, Scott Dixon made a pit stop.
And amazingly, Viso is rolling on reds. We just talked about how he was the one car that the reds didn't work, but they're rolling the dice. I think for Scott Dixon, he is playing the strategy that's well known. You want to be the first person to make first person to make the last stop. Let's get back down to pit road.
Ryan Briscoe earlier had a little problems with others here. That was on the first set of tires. No problem since. Guys, they're being quiet. No problems there.
Will Power makes a stop.
He's also going for alternates. So the track's rubbering in, and that's the choice at the moment, is the faster, the more aggressive tire.
I think the big shocker there was E.J. Viso going with that sticker set of reds after the problems they had with him. He just said it brought on such a big push. Obviously, they made some adjustments to the balance of the car to go with that.
These are all people that are rolling the dice, trying to make big position moves. Interesting to see what the leaders do.
Oh, here comes Briscoe and Weldon, first and second on pit lane.
Now, anytime a driver comes down pit lane, you think this is when they could catch their breath. This is when a different game comes on.
Down to Lindy.
In comes Dan Weldon. He is getting fuel and new tires. So far, they've only made tire pressure adjustments today. He says the car is handling great. He's very happy with it. Down to Robbie.
Guys, it looks like they're going with scuffed tires, not new tires for Briscoe as he takes off again. Not many words out of the Team Penske camp with Ryan Briscoe.
Tony Kanaan completes his pit stop and rolls back out onto the racetrack. Tony Kanaan moving back onto the 1.8-mile street circuit here in St. Petersburg. Justin Wilson has inherited the lead because of the pit stops. Ryan Hunter-Reay now second. Franchitti is third.
Now, if Justin Wilson does not pit, he's taking a big risk. Did he stay out? He did. He is gaining track time by staying on, but if for some reason there was a caution flag right now, he would go straight backwards. He'd lose all that track position for those people who have already pitted. So when I tried to say earlier, you want to be the first person to make the last stop. That is a strategy you use if there's a caution. Right now, he thinks I'm lighter, my tires are hot, I want to make up time, but E.J. Viso is not letting that happen. Yeah. Oh, now he is. Yeehaw! No, he didn't. He didn't let it happen.
No, he did.
It almost looked like E.J. was pulling over for it. I think E.J. just got a little high.
So Viso loses a lap. He's now in 16th position. But of course, we have pit stops to be made ahead of him.
So the question now for Justin Wilson, how much longer are they going to keep him out here to keep laying down some fast laps to try and bridge that gap?
Graham Rahal down into turn number 1. And look out, Hideki Muto and Alex Tagliani, who ran over his nose earlier, take advantage of a Graham Rahal.
And Graham was starting to turn in. Did you notice that? Graham was turning in. He's like, whoa, there he is, and backed it off. And that kind of opened the door for Alex to sneak on by as well.
Dario relinquishes third place for his pit stop.
And there's the Reds going back on again for Dario Franchitti. He likes him. He's going to get his opportunity and a wing adjustment as well, guys.
And if you notice on his Reds, Robbie, that right front was a sticker tire. And as you said, that's the one. They can give you one replacement on those tires.
Vitor Mir and Graham Rahal also on pit lane, on board with Graham as he moves out. It's Mirror right behind him in the A.J. Foyt car.
Ooh. Hello, Scott.
Blending in right.
Let's look for Scott to take a move on him right here. Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Whoa, man, following through. The big advantage there is we just had, Graham coming out on cold tires. They're just not up to temperature, so he can't go as deep as those guys that have temperature in the tires.
That was a 23 car of Darren Manning. Here is the leader, Justin Wilson, in for his stop. The Dale Coyne team goes to work, Lindy.
Justin Wilson coming in for nothing more than fuel and tires. He stays on black tires. This should be his last stop in this race, and here he goes.
Didn't appear to lose any time on pit road, but how is the track position going to work out?
It's going to be close here. Let's see where the blend line is.
I think that Briscoe's going to have him because he's going to have that momentum.
He got out ahead of Briscoe.
It did work. That shows that pit exit is much shorter than on the track, but here comes Briscoe.
And he tries to the inside. No, it won't work.
He just wasn't close enough coming out of pit road to take advantage of, you know, having warmer tires, Briscoe. I mean, this is the A game. Right now, Wilson has to throw it down. This is an opportunity to keep Briscoe behind him for the rest of this race. There's no more pit stops required.
And it takes about another half a lap to really get some tire pressure and get tire temperatures. There's no tire warmers allowed in this series. Now they're approaching the section of the racetrack where we've seen some people get aggressive, particularly Rafael Matos, but he's not close enough. I think that Justin Wilson has pulled it off. He has a couple more corners to get that tire pressure.
Absolutely impressive drive to come out of pit road on cold tires, hold off a guy like Ryan Briscoe, who I think is just coming into his own with Penske, and I think he's going to have a great, great year.
For a moment, Marco Andretti was in the lead, but he now is in stop. It looks like Justin's going to have the advantage. We're 72 laps into this 100-lap race in the streets of St. Petersburg, the Honda Grand Prix. Stay with us. We'll be right back on Versus.
Hey, we landed. In the middle of the road. Hop in, there's room.
There's one thing. We're nudists.
Wow.
Ugh. Rear view camera. Ride ready. The new Pilot, only from Honda. Honda is proud to be the engine supplier of the IndyCar Series.
Start your engine.
I've driven a lot of different cars, but two things never change. No one demands more from their car than me, and nothing protects under the hood better than Peak.
Peak Long Life Antifreeze is formulated with an advanced organic technology to protect any engine of any make, any model, any time. If you can drive it, Peak can protect it.
And when I drive it, it better perform.
Peak Long Life Antifreeze.
When you peak, you win.
Guys, come on. What kind of ideas we have for our fan club members?
How about a day with Dario?
Just say it. Come on, just say it. I'm not even Irish. I'm from Scotland. Come on. They're magically delicious.
With Indy Downforce, you get great gear, trips, offers, maybe even meet your favorite driver. Join at IndyCar.com today.
You saw an IndyCar Non-Stop on Versus, the incident involving Ed Carpenter. That has brought out a full course caution, but no real serious implications because everybody had made their stops.
Except for Ed Carpenter, and we could see on some of those shots the marbles that tend to accumulate. That's a racing term. You can see it around his car on the bottom in this area right in through here. That is all of the rubber that peels off, especially on the softer alternate tires towards the end of the race. If you get on those, that's why they call them marbles. It feels like you're hitting oil.
And we have not seen that in recent years in the IndyCar Series because everybody's always been on the same compound tire. With these alternates, like you said, that softer compound, it just beads up and get all those marbles. There again, see all those marbles outside the line? If you get your car, you're in there driving, and you get up with the left or right side on those marbles, it's just like getting on ice. Or if you want to throw some marbles under your feet and try and have a walk on them, you're not going to walk.
Now, they knew this was going to happen, but again, it mixes things up. A few marbles, a few different tire compounds, and it makes the racing, and we've had a lot of exciting stuff to see. Now, of course, Ed Carpenter's not too excited at the moment, but we don't know for certain even if the marbles had anything to do with it.
But the good news is that we saw Ed get out of the car, went into one of the safety vehicles, and apparently is okay. Great aerial shot there showing you the course here at St. Petersburg and the field under the caution, and we have on lap number 74, 73 complete. Down to Lindy as we begin our Honda through the field.
Justin Wilson leading the pack here at St. Pete. He started second, making history for Dale Coyne Racing. The best starting position ever for that team in the IndyCar Series. Before that, it was 7th. He has been happy with this car all day. They should not be making any more pit stops. Robbie?
Ryan Briscoe started in 4th place. He's in 2nd right now, and he's going to do what the leader does. Leader comes in, he's following him. So it's a game of cat and mouse right now for Ryan Briscoe in 2nd.
Dan Weldon has loved his car all day. They've only made tire pressure adjustments every time he has come in, nothing more. On to Ryan Hunter-Reay running 4th. He just signed with Vision Racing 5 days ago. They have had 5 days to hire a crew to get him fitted for his seat. In fact, the guys in his pit are in simply all black fire suits. They didn't even have time to put any decals on them.
He was...
Well, Dario Franchitti in the 5th spot right now, guys. We've been having problems with that right front, or he has been having problems with that right front. Again, when they came in and Robbie talked about putting that brand new tire on the right front, he needed to, because you saw this bald spot going about halfway around the tire. So he's been having problems with that right front. Just behind his 6th place, Tony Kanaan. He's been trying to get back where he started from. Remember, that first turn really took him out of the game, or so we thought. He's up to 6th place right now, trying to charge through. Just a few adjustments, and remember, that was after a front nose change at the start of the day, so he's really charged back from last all the way up to 6th place.
Marco Andretti pitted on lap 70. They say their car can now make it to the end. They did tires and fuel. By the way, EJ Vizo now in his pit box. He had dropped down to the 16th spot, and they said that was a pit stop problem, and he is now back in.
And that ruins a good day that EJ was having. And we haven't talked, there is Viso's car. We haven't talked much about Marco Andretti, but give him a call as he has moved up into the top 10, as you heard, in 7th position.
Yeah, when I talked to Marco a little bit this morning in qualifying, something was wrong with the underside of their front wing, so they weren't getting any downforce up there, and they didn't know that was going on, so they were making adjustments not knowing that something was broken up on the front wing. A little frustrating for them.
Wilson, Briscoe, Weldon, Hunter-Reay, and Franchitti with 74 laps completed at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg on Versus.
The Andretti name still tops the order.
It's been special to our family.
Well, I won my first race and my last race of my career in IndyCar, so it's been pretty special. When you have those memories, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Boy, we begin the 2009 IndyCar Series with 2 incredible street races in communities that really get behind this event. In 2 weeks, we'll be at the Toyota Grand Prix of Long Beach with coverage at 3:30 Eastern here on Versus with the Firestone Indy Lights on Monday night. The community here in St. Petersburg just really loves and supports this event, as they do in Las Vegas. All right, our pit strategist, Jack Arute, has some comments.
You know, guys, sometimes they say it's better to be lucky than to be good. Well, if you're Ryan Briscoe, it helps if you have Roger Penske calling the shots. Remember, Briscoe has a new engineer. Eric Cowden has come on board as well, but it was still Roger Penske that made the call as far as coming in and breaking from the normal strategy and pitting early. Looked like it wasn't going to work out. Guess what? The yellow comes out. But maybe he has met his match with Justin Wilson's car owner, and up until this year, chief strategist, engineer, etc., yada, yada, yada. We're talking about the little guy, Dale Coyne, the little one-car team. Well, he's added Bill Pappas. I just asked Dale Coyne, how does it feel to have outfoxed the master, Roger Penske? He said, I didn't really do that. He says, we're just doing our very own thing. These two teams, I think, are going to fight it out to the finish. Let's check in with Lindy.
EJ Viso, you started 16th, made the most advances of anyone in this field going up to third. Let's show your hand. It shows how hard you were working out there. We saw the front wing broken at the end. What happened?
Well, yeah, I stopped. We had a failure in the front end of the car. The steering column or something is broken. I can't just physically not turn it. I tried for in the last 5 laps, but you can see the result in my both hands. It's physically impossible, and it was a big risk to stay on the track for me and for everyone.
You started on the reds, and I know you told me beforehand you weren't too comfortable on them. You immediately went on to the blacks. We saw you put the reds back on here at the end. Why did you do that?
Well, we were checking to see if the compound of the tire will do any difference, but it didn't. It is just a failure in the mechanic part of the car.
EJ, thank you.
Thank you.
The first time I saw EJ Viso was at the beginning of the mini marathon in the month of May at Indianapolis, where they have thousands of runners. And I believe that the first time that he circled the Indianapolis Motor Speedway was on foot running in the mini marathon. And he did very well in that event, too.
A lot of these guys train really hard because on a day like today, and you don't know if you're going to get a caution right here to get a breath, and sometimes under the caution with less air going over the car, this is a super physical exercise.
The top 6 cars right here represent 6 different teams. We have Coyne, Penske, Panther, Vision, Ganassi, and Andretti. Nice parity.
What a great mix, huh? Wow.
Here's the Apex Brazil restart. Green flag comes out on lap 78.
And look at that gap that Justin Wilson got coming off.
But watch third place.
Yes, and Frankitti's following alongside with Ryan Hunter-Reay as they're going through turn 2. And Weldon drops back 3 spots.
No, but Frankitti's in trouble. Franchitti just got wide. He got out in those marbles we just talked about and just lost 2, maybe 3 spots.
I'll be darned. And that's in the exact same place where Ed Carpenter got in the wall, where Franchitti got high there.
So he dropped behind Kanaan, but he maintained ahead of Weldon.
On the throttle off of turn number 9.
I'm just impressed with Justin Wilson. He got a 3-car gap right at the line there. I mean, he timed that restart beautifully. Absolutely kind of snookered Ryan a little bit.
That was a fantastic restart.
As they cross the line, we'll get an indication of just how much distance he put between himself and Ryan Briscoe.
Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Yep, 4/10 of a second, and
here he comes. He's
Ryan
thinking about it.
Looking for second.
Yeah, he's racing. Dornbos to the inside of Muto, and Dixon to the inside of Andretti.
Yep.
Restarts are always fun. Here's the action in turn 1 from Dario's perspective.
And that's Ryan Hunter-Reay you're looking at right in front of him, car 21. So now let's just stay on board. Stay on board there with Dario. Oh, no, he had a little bit of contact there with Ryan Hunter-Reay.
Now, the guy who had the best view of this is Tony Kanaan. We ride with Tony. Those two go wide. He thinks about shooting the gap, then all of a sudden, hang on, they're going to be in the marbles, and I'm going to change it down, and then he's going right after Ryan Hunter-Reay. That was a great restart.
Absolutely, and Dan Weldon was the one guy on the outside going, hey, I'm not supposed to be going this way.
Hey, guys.
It wasn't so good for Weldon because he dropped back to 6th place. Wilson, Briscoe, and Franchitti takes the position from Kanaan.
And I think there you're seeing red versus black. That's a case where you can break later, and when you don't get out in the marbles, he seems like he has much more grip than does Tony Kanaan.
And look at the gap, Jan, that he just pulled on him already, just coming out of turns 2 and 3. And again, I just find it interesting. That's again in the
Dixon.
turn 3. Dixon in turn 3.
Oh.
Wow.
What a way to start the 2009 season after the championship last year.
Well, it's always a good signal. It's to the safety team here. Anytime the driver takes the wheel off like that, that means I'm okay. Now, whether the driver always has the wherewithal to think about that in the process is that signal, I don't know. But he's moving pretty good there.
That is the same exact spot as Ed Carpenter, correct?
Absolutely.
Looks like it.
Yep.
Same spot. Goes to the inside.
Yep. Look at his left front. His left front was stuck and obviously is broken. So when he goes to go right here, put the load on the left front, it must not work. Yeah.
That was just a case of car already being broken from prior contact, and right there, there's no way that's going to turn.
Yeah, nothing to do with the marbles there at all. The left front was already broke on that contact with Hideki.
Dixon did not have a good race here last year. He finished 22nd.
So here he is. We're on board with Dixon, looking down, coming alongside Hideki. Now watch the left front. It stops moving. See, the left front isn't even moving. Contact with the right rear of Hideki, and something's definitely broke. Jan, take a quick look here and see
I think it's on the bottom.
It is.
I think it might be the bottom. Watch the bottom below here, because the steering link typically right there, that's what you think would cause the problem. It wasn't. I believe that may have knocked something loose. The lower support to that A-arm let go, and there's no way that thing was going to turn.
You know, fortunately, he wasn't absolutely at speed there, just since he was kind of tangled up with Hideki as they rolled through turns 1 and 2. He wasn't at full song. I mean, if you're at full song through turn 3 there, you're doing close to, 110, 115 miles an hour.
The end of the day for Scott Dixon as he is out of the car and waiting a ride back into the pit area in one of the safety vehicles. So we're under a full course caution once again. We have less than 20 laps to go on the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, with Justin Wilson leading. Under caution here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg with 18 laps to go. Wow, how would you like to be spending the afternoon on that little yacht watching the IndyCars on Versus? That looks fun. All right, let's go down to Lindy Thaxton, who is standing by with who has to be a very happy car owner.
Yeah, Dale Coyne, you must be very happy right now.
It's good out there right now. We're in good shape. We make it to the end. He's been the fastest car all day. We just kind of got caught up on that first yellow, the guys that pitted before us. So, but we were able to go 2 laps longer. So, and he hustled it when he needed to. So he's doing really good.
And he brought you obviously the best start right now, and you're hoping for that good of a finish too.
Well, we'll see. We still got 16 laps to go. We want that last lap.
And he shouldn't have to come in again.
No, we're good for again. Yep.
Thank you, Dale. Back to the booth.
Good for
Dale Coyne. Will, yeah, no kidding. That it's good to see a team like that running up front.
Roger, does Ryan Briscoe have anything left to give by Justin Wilson?
Well, I think Justin shows how good he was in Detroit. I think what we're trying to do is start this season off with a good finish. They ran a few more laps longer there, and it got track position on us on the pit stop. But a lot of laps to go here, the way it looks like right now.
What's he saying, or what are you saying to him as far as, is he pushing it all the way, or did he have any reason to early on?
No, I think we saw the lap times he ran as quick as anyone, and we're just now, we got to wait till the end before we push it. But to me, it's you got Hunter-Reay on reds, we're on blacks, lots of combinations out there. It'll be interesting at the end.
Thanks a lot, Raj.
The captain, Roger Penske, watching his driver, Ryan Briscoe, running in second position. Will Power is 8th. Stay with us for more on IndyCar Non-Stop on Versus. Laps winding down here at the Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg as the IndyCar season is underway. In fact, we only have about 16 more laps to go in this 100-lap event through the streets of St. Petersburg. Justin Wilson, your leader, over Ryan Briscoe, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and the signals being given. Next time they come down, they'll get the green flag.
Well, it absolutely is a fantastic job that Justin Wilson did on his outlap on cold tires. I'll say it again. I mean, that was impressive. That's what separates drivers out here. I mean, that was fantastic.
Interesting also that Roger Penske is worried about Ryan Hunter-Reay behind on the reds.
It has not been a good day for the defending series champion. Here's lap 1.
trying to thread the needle, and then look at Mike Conway shoot across him. It turned out it wasn't the contact for him. But really the biggest moment for Scott Dixon was coming on to pit road, and that's because Will Power slid past the box. Here, he lost all of his track position. And Robbie, once you lose track position, then you're back there fighting with people that you really shouldn't be.
No, and more things can happen, and here it is. He's just coming alongside Hideki. We just saw this happen. Look at that left front. He's obviously damaged that left front. Now when he comes back through this right-hander turn 3 here, a fast section, he goes to right, but the car just keeps going straight, and there you go.
Scott only failed to complete 9 laps in all of last year, and those 9 laps came here at St. Pete after he brushed the wall and damaged the half shaft and finished in 22nd position. Here we go. Let's see what happens as the green flag comes out and we're back to racing. Can Justin Wilson hold off the challenge of Ryan Briscoe, Ryan Hunter-Reay, and Dario Franchitti? Here they come to turn 1, and Briscoe looks for the advantage, and he gets it.
Absolutely perfect, clean pass. And did you just see Wilson trying to get on the gas? The rear that just snapped out. He's like, I got to get back after him.
You complimented on what a great restart Justin Wilson got last time. Ryan Briscoe went to school and took it right back at him.
There you go. Look at Dornbos looking down the inside of Weldon. Going to, contact.
Dornbos and Weldon.
And that was Power got in there too.
Andretti made contact as well.
Wow.
We have seen it all.
Dan Weldon and Hideki Muto are the 2 cars sitting there.
And there'll be a couple more that'll retire because there was some more heavy contact. Dornbos first made the contact. There's his car. That's going to pit road. Yeah, and we also saw behind him Andretti also with broken front suspension.
Yeah, that left front was just kind of towed out going in the wrong direction. But you hit it perfectly. Briscoe went to school on Wilson on that one restart. He said, that isn't going to happen again, son.
Weldon's okay in the safety vehicle. This is our 6th caution, and it ties the record for the most cautions.
Yeah. And Weldon was having a great drive.
Yes, he was.
Really was.
And Weldon tried to give him room. It's just that Dornbos was carrying too much speed.
Yeah.
And after the contact, no place to go.
Yeah. There'll be some friendly conversations after this one.
There's Dornbos as he heads toward pit lane. All right, here's what happened at the drop of the green flag, and as they headed down into turn number 1, watch Briscoe.
So he's already made the pop. He's pulled alongside Justin, outbroke him a little bit. Perfect clean pass.
But look what happened. It was Weldon that lost momentum in turn number 1, and that's what put him. Look behind. Look at the top of the screen. This is where the bright red car of Dornbos goes to the inside, and look, he just pushes. He just didn't hold it in. I mean, he was trying, but the centrifugal force pulled him out, and that was a case of Weldon. This is where he lost his momentum. He tries to go to the inside of Kanaan, but now he's off Power. This is what gave Dornbos the idea, because he's definitely off the pace. Dornbos decides this is my opportunity to push it, and you'll see him come up upside on the right-hand side, right here on the brakes.
And Weldon's trying to stay high.
See?
He knows he's coming on the inside. I mean, Weldon was doing everything he could.
Yep.
But it all started when Dan just tried to outbrake Kanaan into turn 1, couldn't get the car slowed down enough, and drifted up high. That set that whole sequence off.
Dan Weldon won here in 2005 rather, to lead Andretti Green's historic 1, 2, 3, 4 finish. His only other podium finish on a temporary circuit was at Detroit in 2007. And once again, we have a very badly damaged race car. We've seen a lot of them today.
Yeah, way too many of them for rolling into another race. Just
2 weeks.
You got a weekend off, and then we're into Long Beach.
Ryan Hunter-Reay is ahead of Wilson. So at the moment, Ryan Hunter-Reay, who has had a fantastic day, he was on the same strategy that we saw for Justin Wilson. In other words, running a few more laps after Ryan Briscoe. That was part of the strategy that got him up into the top 3. Jack?
Guys, we were all watching all of what was happening just as Ryan Hunter-Reay tried to overtake Justin Wilson. Sometimes, again, it's all split-second timing. He had initiated the pass. We zoom in. We're watching all hell break loose behind him. Ryan Hunter-Reay quietly goes about his business and gets by Justin Wilson. What's really interesting to me is Briscoe and Wilson have used the Reds to try and make time. Ryan Hunter-Reay, on the other hand, I talked to Neil Fife. He says their car has liked the alternate tires since the beginning, and that's what they're electing to use. They just fulfilled their obligation with the blacks, the primary tire, and they've been running Reds the rest of the day. Ergo, they're now in second.
Vision Racing is in second, their best finish ever. Third, they've done that twice at Milwaukee and at Kentucky. All right, we're getting ready to go back to green flag racing. Rejoin us in just a moment here on Versus. The cleanup continues for the incident, and now we are down to just 10 laps to go. Ryan Briscoe is the leader, Ryan Hunter-Reay second, then Justin Wilson, Dario Franchitti, and Tony Kanaan. There were 2 Firestone Indy Lights races here in the last couple of days. Now, if you want to see these races in their entirety without knowing who won and how it happened, please look away for the next few minutes and hit the mute button, because we're going to show you highlights, okay? Here we go. Remember the name Junior Strauss, because this guy has won both races. He took the lead from J.R. Hildebrand here in a nice move going into turn number 1, and he held on for the victory in race number 1. The young man from the Netherlands, and then in the second race, he took the checkered flag first again. So a double victory for Junior Strauss as Paul Diatlovich hits the cold water. And a name to remember, a nice weekend for that young man here in the Firestone Indy Light Series. Top 3 finishers, Strauss, Jonathan Somerton, and J.R. Hildebrand in race number 1. And then in the second race, Sebastian Saavedra and James Hinchcliffe, second and third.
Now, Jack was talking about how Ryan Hunter-Reay had the opportunity to sneak by, and you can see it from overhead. So right in here, right behind the tree, is where you see the swinging wide there of Justin Wilson. Tried to turn in. Somehow the car wouldn't turn, left the door open, and Ryan Hunter-Reay swooped in for the kill. Nicely done.
Great stuff. Do you think the Firestone Reds are playing a role there since Ryan Hunter-Reay's on them? Just a little bit of grip right now. Maybe on that restart just didn't have as much Justin grip-wise.
That was certainly part of the play, but it was interesting that right after that, boy, you could just see what happened. If you have a little bit of something that changes the momentum up front, it just turns into, like you said, Bob, earlier, a train wreck behind.
Yep. So what do you think, guys? Can Ryan Briscoe hold him off?
Yes.
Okay. You?
I'm yes again. I mean, you know, he took advantage of what Justin did to him on that restart, so he's going to do the same thing to Ryan Hunter-Reay. But you know, we talked to Ryan Hunter-Reay yesterday. He was just happy to get his deal done, and you know, we said, how are things going with the car? They made a lot of changes to that car after the first session, just geometry changes. They came back with it, and he said, hey, we were a session behind, just getting caught up, but to be in second place here with 9 laps to go, I don't think that's what he was thinking when we talked to him yesterday afternoon.
What you're saying is that right now this would be a victory for Ryan Hunter-Reay and Vision Racing, considering, but he's a race car driver, and he sees Ryan Briscoe right there, and he's right on it. What a great restart so far for Ryan Hunter-Reay.
You got to be careful, though, not to pass before the start-finish line. Here's the green flag. Away we go.
Look at
Ryan Briscoe stands on the gas. Here comes Ryan Hunter-Reay to the inside.
No, great braking. Even did you see how late Briscoe went on the pedal? He actually went a little bit high in the corner. Woo!
That was not Ryan Hunter-Reay saying, okay, I'm happy with that. That's exactly what we forecast. He's still a driver, and he's like, I don't care if that's so much of a victory. I'm going for the win. And you know what? Now he's on the Reds, and he has more grip, and he's not giving up.
Exactly. Do you see him just be able to, through that second gear slow corners, his momentum that he could carry through the corners, that grip, he was all over the back of Briscoe. So Briscoe now just has to make sure in some of these slow corners with the long straightaway is keep him behind and just get the power down.
Oh, but Briscoe got a bit wide. Briscoe did not have a good exit on that corner, so Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to be right on him.
But we know you can't make a pass there. We saw Rafa try and do it to Danica. But
He is all over him, though, coming out of 14. Let's see how things shake out as they come down the straightaway. The runway headed toward turn 1.
And that is all about those Firestone Reds, just providing a little bit of that extra grip where he can flow a little bit more speed through the middle portion of the corner.
Which is the reason why it was introduced. The whole idea is if at the end of the race you can have people on different strategies or different tires, that gives the opportunity for give and take and for some action, and we've seen plenty of that today.
With Bobby Rahal not fielding a team in the series at this point, it put Ryan Hunter-Reay basically out of work. He has a personal services contract with IZOD, and of course they have a major relationship now with the IndyCar Series, and that is the reason why Ryan Hunter-Reay got at a ride late with Vision Racing, and man, he is making it happen here this afternoon, just a couple of car lengths behind the leader of the race, Ryan Briscoe.
But that time Ryan Hunter-Reay had a bit of a miscue on the exit there, so he's now lost a little bit of that momentum, and this is the one place he wanted to be closer leading onto the straightaway.
Vision's best road or street course finish was 4th back in 2008 last year at Edmonton, and the driver was Paul Tracy. Other than that, their best finish is 3rd. That happened in Milwaukee 2006 and at Kentucky 2007.
And from Ryan Hunter-Reay's perspective right now, he does not need to worry about what's going on behind him. Nobody's challenging him, so he's just focused on getting on top of Briscoe. Get right on his gearbox, challenge him, let him know he's there, breathe, fill his mirrors a little bit. Can I just get him to make a little mistake, a little hiccup? That's all it takes to get a better run off the corner and set up a good pass.
Scott Dixon crashed out of this event, and Robbie Floyd talked with him.
It looked like the left front wasn't moving. What was happening from your perspective?
Yeah, I think, it was just a tough day for Team Target. We had someone parked in our pit, which I haven't seen for quite some time, and that pretty much ruined us. We went straight to the back of the pack. We tried to go out of sequence a little bit to try and jump those guys. We got traffic early, and we couldn't really do much. So it was a tough day. You always had to try and outbrake somebody into one or some other area. And in turn 1, you had little marbles everywhere. So as soon as you got inside, you generally picked up speed instead of slowing down. And I couldn't get the car slowing down quick enough, sort of touch with Muto there, and then the next turn seemed fine, but the right-hand corner, I think the wishbone was broken and went straight ahead.
So a tough beginning of the season for Scott Dixon. He's going to finish back in about 16th position. On board with Dario Franchitti there for a moment. He's back in 4th, ahead of Tony Kanaan. Coming off of corner number. Oh, contact.
Alex Tagliani looking down the inside of Marco and spun him around.
Marco trying to get the car headed in the right direction, and he may have blocked the track here.
Now there's no reverse in these cars. You're thinking, why doesn't he back up? That there's no provision in the gearbox for reverse. So he is stuck.
And that will bring out a full course yellow. In that position there, they're going to do it.
You got to. Yeah,
you got to.
There it goes.
We saw him try to light him up and do a quick spin around. It just didn't come around.
He didn't have the angle to pull that off.
No.
And Grandpa Mario will not see his son finish this race, or his grandson, I should say.
Yep.
Delphi
well, no, actually, he could still finish the race.
Yeah, but not going to have a good finish.
Yeah, they're...
The great Mario Andretti, 1969 winner of the Indianapolis 500, former world champion in Formula One. Here's the replay now as Alex Tagliani and Andretti came together.
Alex is sort of definitely non-committal. That's like, I think I'm gonna pass. Oh, maybe not. Yeah, maybe I am. And that's what happened. Do that. You can't. You gotta. That was Alex Tagliani's fault for certain. You gotta. If you're gonna do it, you gotta do it. You can't just like half-pass somebody.
Down to Jack Arute, our pit strategist.
Well, this isn't about strategy as Marco Andretti gets out of the car. You know, one Andretti has won the Indianapolis 500 back in 1969. You saw Mario Andretti from there. He went on to stardom as a Formula One world champion. Things might have been different, though, if a man who left us just a couple of days ago had the right pit strategy on pit road. In 69, it was Lloyd Ruby who was leading the race, and Mario Andretti was behind him. Lloyd Ruby made his final pit stop, ruptured both fuel tanks, and saw his fuel and his dream of winning the Indy 500 go out on the tarmac. Mario went on to win his only Indy 500. We lost Lloyd Ruby at the age of 81 this week, and our thoughts and prayers and condolences go out to him. And for old guys like us, he was one great racer.
He was, and perhaps the most popular non-winner in the history of Indianapolis, with Michael Andretti, of course, included in that group also. Here's the green flag. Back to racing. Can Ryan Hunter-Reay get a good run this time? No, Justin Wilson takes a peek, but decides not to.
For a moment, looked like Justin was thinking about the outside, but thought better with the marbles. Again, Ryan Briscoe with a great start. Ryan Hunter-Reay just trying to hang in there and defend now from Wilson.
You're right. His focus now is keeping Wilson behind him. He's not worrying about challenging up in front at Briscoe. Right now, he just needs to secure that second spot. Give it a couple more corners here. Let's see if he just gets a little more temperature back up in those tires. Clean them up a little bit. Anytime you have yellow situations, sometimes you pick up a little debris on the tires, and it takes a couple corners to get that debris off and get your good contact patch back on the tires.
They are all close enough right now that if someone decides that they're going to take a big risk, all these cars, and look how close they are. 1, 2, 3, 4, right together with 1 lap to go.
Ryan Briscoe looking for the victory. They're lined up behind him, though, waiting for the opportunity. Dario Franchitti takes a look to the inside of Justin Wilson.
That was a teaser look. That was the tease look.
Briscoe looks like he's got the gap that he wants, but they are all so close. It would just take one misstep and this whole thing could shuffle.
This is the next spot coming down off of 9, coming down into 10 is the next good braking passing zone.
And it doesn't appear as if Ryan Hunter-Reay is going to be close enough. Briscoe comes through corner number 10 and make it 2 wins in a row for the Aussie. Although it was not a points-paying race, he won in the streets of Surfers Paradise to end last season. Now Ryan Briscoe wins the opening event of the 2009 season. The Honda Grand Prix of St. Petersburg. His official 3 wins include 1 on an oval, 1 on a permanent road course, and a temporary street course. Ryan Briscoe wins race 1 of the 2009 season.